It's another day for the PFIPC to still be on the questioning. The president has directed that the PFIPC be investigated, that the tribunal be set up to look into this, and that it be reported back in 30 days. There are, of course, those who still believe that all of this is a charade, whilst many are calling for the government, for the presidency to hold the parties accountable, because how does an organization of that magnitude thrive without necessary oversight? We still will be looking at the PFIPC, the legality of it, the call by the president, as well as all the other surrounding stories. You're welcome to Breakfast Central. For the next 3 hours, we're bringing you some of the biggest stories in Nigeria. I am Olive Emodi. And, of course, the incredible Benga is here. Hello, Benga.
Hello, Olive. Looking bright and beautiful this morning. As always, it's great to be here. And so many things to look to beam the searchlight this morning, especially the PFI, the Presidential Foreign Promotion Council scandal. And I believe Mr. President has acted in the right direction. We hope the investigation is swift and those culpable are brought to book. But beyond that, it's World Cup season. And again, the marketers will be laughing now. And they will say, see, we told you, because President Trump has decided to hit sites in Iran. I mean, this is in the middle of a 60-day MOU truce. They came up with some excuse, but the long and short of this is that petrol prices might go up. It was $6 a barrel this morning, the Brent crude oil, because of the skirmishes or the war in the Middle East, which has resumed again. So if you were hoping for fuel to drop below 1,000, well, I'm sorry to break the news to you. And of course, another one of Africa's representatives in the World Cup just bit the dust, the Pharaohs of Egypt. 11 minutes to go, 2-0 up. Who would believe that they couldn't even take Argentina to extra time? It's really sad. I mean, there are those that said, you know, FIFA favored this and that, but if you don't want them to cheat you, I mean, play your own part. Pack the bus if you have to. But we're not here alone. We have the amazing gentleman at Chinwatel. Well, welcome back to Breakfast Central. It's great to have you.
Yes, it always feels good to be here. Of course, we're going to be having an amazing time next 3 hours as we talk about things that affect us as Nigerians and even things beyond that, especially what Benga mentioned, the World Cup yesterday. A lot of people were really, really heartbroken because a lot of people felt that since that conversation or that argument between Ronaldo and Messi would always continue, since Ronaldo has been exited from the World Cup, Messi should do the same. But sadly, for those who wanted that to happen,
it was on his way back to Rosario in Argentina, and then they pulled a Houdini.
Okay.
Olive, you don't seem sad about what happens to our brothers, the pharaohs of Egypt and the Egyptian mummies. We are just going about life.
So does this have to do with the Bible, you know, the whole things they did to Israel? You know, Egyptians, you see today, you won't see them tomorrow. Is that what it's about?
Please don't set me up.
No, I'm just asking. If you haven't seen Egypt, you want to go there, okay.
They want to go and see the pyramids. But it's very interesting that I think there are a few countries within the continent that don't seem to align themselves very much with the rest of the continent. Egypt is one of them.
I think that's Morocco.
Morocco, yes, but there are a number of Egyptians that if you ask if they're Africans, they will tell you more that they're Arabs. They will not tell you that they're Africans. So I think there's already that slight, I'm not one of them, energy.
Can you really blame them? If you look at the structure, and I'm trying to be careful here, but if you look at the structure of things in the way the economy, the way they do their things, they have this level of excellence that the other parts of the continent need to still catch up with when it comes to Egypt, when it comes to Morocco, and even the whole of North Africa. Sometimes I'm tempted to categorize them as geographically Africans, not necessarily like African, because of how they act.
That's the truth. At the end of the day, they are geographically Africans because you look at the map, where are they located? Unfortunately, you are located in Africa.
What do you mean, unfortunately?
That's why I said, fortunately or unfortunately.
Africa is a beautiful continent.
Unfortunately for those of them that don't like to be associated with Africa. We, on the other hand, we are proudly Africans. But speaking about Africa, the giant of Africa is in the news, not for the right reasons. For the very wrong reasons. How many giants does Africa have?
I mean, what country has the largest economy in Africa as we speak? It's South Africa.
Well,
it depends on the giant of what.
Well, we're about to start another
numbers.
Giant of xenophobia. Yes, that's South Africa.
Wow. Well, in terms of numbers, how about numbers?
Yes.
I think that's where Nigeria
Well, the
stands.
giant of Africa.
Did you just say that?
Why are you looking at me like I dropped a bombshell? Look, the numbers don't lie. The statistics are there. You just have to follow the news cycle.
It turns out you don't plan to ever visit South Africa. I hope that we can get past.
I've actually been to South Africa.
How was that?
It was nice.
Do you want to go back? Do you want to go back?
It was nice and lovely.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, not in my immediate plans. When they end
Funny
all
thing
this,
is that I always looked forward to going to Cape Town because of how beautiful it is.
and
But
their
now,
nonsense,
at
I
the
would
moment,
visit.
with all that I'm seeing. Anyway, the giant of Africa, Nigeria, is in the news for the wrong reasons. But let's tell you regarding the PFIPC that President Bola Tinubu has directed the ICPC to launch a full-scale investigation into the fake, emphasis on fake, Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council, PFIPC agency scandal. At the center of the scandal is Adeniyi Adeyemi Matthew, who presented himself as the Director General of PFIPC, allegedly using forged appointment letters to gain recognition, diplomatic support, and even open multiple bank accounts in the name of the fake agency. And he's also pointed accusing fingers at the President's Chief of Staff, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, as being behind his appointment. Now, the explanation we've given so far is the one that the presidency has given regarding the PFIPC. Now, the president has given the ICPC 30 days to unravel the fraud, to track the flow of funds and expose all collaborators involved. The ICPC is expected not only to probe the individuals behind the scandal, but also to identify weaknesses in government procedures that allow such a fictitious body to appear legitimate. Ministries, departments and agencies have been ordered to cooperate fully with the investigation. So let's start with talking about yesterday when we brought up the update that his father had been arrested by the police.
His father and a friend.
His father and a friend. This is why Mogbomoya is not really
a friend that was just visiting the house.
Innocent
Maybe he went
friend.
to eat lunch and then one Kumaruga. It was packed.
But that's unfortunate. Why would they pick someone?
I mean, that's why we need to question the Nigerian police. Since when did you begin to visit the sins of the sons on the father? How can you arrest somebody in lieu of another individual?
But they have released him. They arrested him.
Rightly so.
Yes, they arrested him to question him. I'm sure they've released him.
Just imagine if it was Amala.
That man of particular concern, I'm really concerned.
Just imagine if it was Amala that made that man just, pay that guy a visit and look at that.
With him that, I've heard
exactly. Sorry
about
and from there, there's a knock on the door.
It speaks a lot on our criminal administrative justice system. It's wrong. And this is not the first time the Nigerian police is doing this. They need to stop that. But like you rightly said, you're the bearer of good news. Thank you for letting us know.
Yes, the good news is that he's been released.
Has been released.
But yes, we must also again re-emphasize our criticism of the fact that he was even arrested in the first place. His father had no business with this matter, and we need to discourage actions like that because it is an abuse of state powers. It's abuse of, the rule of law which talks about the supremacy of the law over the rulers and the ruled. And there's nowhere that we do substituted arrest unless where you can prove that this person is directly linked to the crime, which they, did not have any prima facie evidence. But let's now come back.
Wow, you're really in your
the
law element this morning. Is that why you were black?
I knew you were going to say that.
I'm a
try.
I'm also wearing.
But let's come back to the issue at hand. The scandal of the PFIPC is as huge and as humongous as anybody can imagine. What social media users have now termed Baja Gates is the talk of the moment. Initially, when we heard this story, when it broke out on social media, the first reaction was Bayo Onanuga speaking about this and stating that the said man, Adeniyi Matthew, is a fraud. You can see the State House press release. He said, okay, this is the recent one. President Tinubu orders ICPC. But the initial press statement
it was defensive.
Was him
no investigations done.
Exactly. He was defending Femi Gbajabiamila and stating that the said man is a fraud, that the accounts were opened using fraudulent documents, that he deceived the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. And I don't know if Bayo Onanuga understands that when he speaks, especially on social media, many people don't see Bayo Onanuga. They see President Bola Tinubu as a spokesperson. It's always a very difficult divide to find is the thin line between when Bayo Onanuga is speaking as Bayo Onanuga, which is really hard, or when he's speaking as the voice of President Bola Tinubu. And what that may have been interpreted as would have been that the government is in some measure shielding and covering its own, speaking up for Femi Gbajabiamila, when there was an accusation and there was documentary proof, there was evidence to that fact. Now, whether or not that is true, it is left for the court to decide. The question, again, has always been, how could that go through under all their noses? How could they have a line item in the budget? And how could we get to this point? Regardless of how you see it, it's an embarrassment on the current administration. It's an embarrassment on the Senate Committee on Budget. The Senate does approve these budgets. I will go back again to asking how this was able to fly by the Senate. The Senate has punted on this matter. They say they're not going to go into this for several reasons. The first one being that, the matter is already in court, so it's sub judice. And secondly, there was no formal petition to them, so they're going to stay out of it. But they are to be held culpable as well, because this literally passed under their noses, and this was signed for them to have a budgetary allocation, because that's the crux of the matter. Even if the government comes out and it can be proven that Adeniyi Adeyemi Matthew lied and all of those documents were forged, well, how did they get the line item on the budget? That's the major issue there. So regardless of how it plays out, it does not in any way look good for the government, which then comes to the 30-day inquiry that has been set by the government. Many have termed this just business as usual. Committees have often been set up in our country. We've seen when, recall us, I want to go back to the Onosanya report. The Onosanya report, there was a committee set to ensure the implementation of the Onosanya report. They were asked to return back to President Bola Tinubu within 12 weeks for the implementation of that report. We are a country of committees and tribunals that are often set up to look into matters, to enforce implementation, to investigate. But the issue is not about the investigation. It is what comes out of it. I must applaud the presidency, but there are those who argue that the names that have been mentioned should have been asked to step aside. Because who is carrying out this investigation? A party cannot be a judge in his own cause. So let's say the presidency, because many have also criticized and accused the presidency for being complicit. So if the president has said that this investigation should be carried out, why have certain people not been asked to step aside? Many have called for the stepping aside of Femi Gbajabiamila and even Bayo Onanuga, who came out in the first instance, to defend Femi Gbajabiamila without ensuring that proper and adequate investigation was done in this matter. I rest my case. Over to you, gentlemen.
Since 1999, when we moved into democracy, I can't remember right now, top of my head, seeing any government official willingly just step aside just because there was some scandal, or we just heard something, there was an issue, smoke somewhere around the person. Maybe for Kemi Adeosun, I think, when that whole issue of NYC scandal and all that. But it just tells us where we are as a country when it comes to leadership. I think we're very, when it comes to integrity, I don't know if we look like our leaders are far from it. We don't know what should be done. At this point in time, yes, Mr. President has ordered that ICPC should, investigate, giving them 30 days. That's very applaudable, but can Mr. Gbajabiamila step aside? Every party involved, can they step aside? So also even, help with the investigation so that people can actually see that, okay, something is really done as regards this situation. The president has actually made a move, because it's also, tricky, because this is ICPC investigating the presidency that most likely appointed, their boss, or appointed them, basically. So it just tells you that if this act is to show any form of transparency, then I think Mr. Gbajabiamila should at least step aside for now. Depending on when the investigation is done, then we know that, okay, the government means business. Like Olive said, we've been having committees upon committees, and I will not be surprised if after we hear about this ICPC going into investigation, this might just be the last we'll hear of this particular situation till it finally dies off. Another thing is the Senate. I think we don't pay enough attention, or we don't demand enough from our senators.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, because this is not the first time something like this is happening. Someone comes for test, comes for you to check them properly, and all you tell them is bow, take a bow and go, take a bow and go. Look at the Naji case. You mean none of you could tell that he brought up certificate that was not, that was forged at the end of the day. So we see these kind of things happen over time, and I think we should start to ask more from our senators as regards what exactly they are doing in that chamber.
Rightly said, Olive and Chiwetel. For me, the first positive from all of this is that it's gone to the highest office in the land. And Mr. President,
it was always with the highest office of the land. The chief of staff was implicated.
Yes, and I mean, Mr. President, as the #1 citizen of Nigeria, has weighed in on this and ordered the ICPC to carry out a thorough investigation and get back to him in 30 days. So it's good that he's acknowledged that a scandal of this magnitude has a lot of has done a lot of reputational damage to his presidency. It's under his watch, and something he really needs to know the truth and the absolute truth on this. Is one thing for some of your aides to issue statements, another thing to know the absolute truth, because your aide is not an investigator. He hasn't done anything thorough. He's just speaking, I mean, he's just acting impulsively. So it would be nice to wait for the 30 days to elapse and let's see what the result is. That's the proper way to go. Another thing I'm really worried about is ICPC as an institution. That's why they've always said that Africa, we need strong institutions and not strong men, because I mean the ICPC, look at their track record in the last decade. How many convictions have they had? How effective are they in carrying out investigations? Will the parties involved, the stakeholders here, the belligerents, will they respond to summons by the ICPC, knowing how powerful some of these individuals are? Will officials also cooperate with members of the ICPC while they're carrying out investigation? Will they respond to subpoenas and summons? Because at the end of the day, what do? You don't have access to Mr. President. If the ICPC is complaining that people are stonewalling and they're not granted access to certain files, what can you really do? Only if there's a if there's a political will behind it to get to the root of this matter. And also, the Senate, I think their excuse is very easy. It's a get out of jail free card.
Thank you so much for saying that, because I wanted to double down on that.
I mean, just saying the matter is in court is not enough. We're talking of the reputation of the executive arm of Nigeria, and you're also implicated, the Senate, they're stakeholders, because that line budget in the item that was allocated to that alleged fake agency was passed through the Senate. It means they failed at their oversight duties for not flagging it and for not scrutinizing. So simply saying the matter is in court is not enough.
Can I actually quote what was being said? And this is, of course, the Senate reacting to the criticism leveled against it regarding the PFIPC getting a line item on the budget. Speaking with journalists after plenary, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Media and Publicity, Senator Adeniyi Adeyemi, first of all, acknowledge that the PFIC has a budgetary allocation in the 2026 Appropriation Act. So it's not in dispute. He has acknowledged that the budget, it has a line item. Then he maintained that the Senate had no basis to investigate the controversy since no petition had been formally submitted to the Red Chamber by any of the parties involved or concerned Nigerians. So first of all, because the Senate is not a courtroom, you know, typically the courts, they will say the court is not a Father Christmas, and the court only adjudicates on matters brought before it. In the same way, nobody has complained about it, so therefore, they don't see the point in bringing it. None of them within the Senate, none of the senators think it's an important enough conversation for either of them to bring before the House. That's one. Adeyemi said that the matter had become sub judice, and I'm going to quote, he argued, the allegations and counter-allegations over a fake agency and its Director General are all within the executive, which should be sorted out by it, specifically between the Office of the Chief of Staff and the alleged fake DG. He goes on to say, the budget line being referred to was not created or inserted by the National Assembly. I'll take that again. The budget line being referred to was not created or inserted by the National Assembly, and it is not the duty of the Senate or the House of Representatives to carry out security checks on those supposedly appointed to head the various MDAs. If the alleged fake DG were to be one of the presidential appointees screened and confirmed by the Senate, the controversy might have been perceived to be somewhat linked to us. However, if a petition is sent to the Senate by any of the feuding parties or any concerned Nigerian on the existence or non-existence of the agency or DG, it will be legislatively looked into. And this is beyond the most comfortable arguments that the Senate will put forward. Something that has become a national scandal, a global scandal, because I'm sure the international media would have, if they, if they haven't already picked on the story, that Nigerians have to formally come and make a complaint to the Senate for them to see the gravity, the fact that this is already, it's speaking to the integrity of the current administration. And when we say the current administration, I hope the Senate knows we are not just talking about President Bola Tinubu. We're talking about the different arms. We're also talking about the Red Chamber. They're not exonerated from this. And I don't know that an excuse that you did not put in the budget, you did not put the line item of the budget, and it's not your responsibility to screen the heads of these MDAs. I don't know if that budget will, if that excuse will fly with Nigerians. We're streaming on YouTube, News Central TV Live. Please head there, drop your comment. We'll take comments on YouTube. But let's first head to X and see what Nigerians are saying. Who knows? Maybe, they're very impressed by what's been happening so far. As
well as from the Nigeria Democratic Congress says, this is not good enough. Any directive that leaves key actors in the corruption scandal in their positions is merely cosmetic, a poor attempt to save face. We demand that everyone directly involved in this scam step aside to allow for a full, unbiased investigation. Mr. Imbuya says, so on what basis did you, Mr. Ononuga, write that initial...
God bless him.
This what? Disingenuous. Okay, disingenuous and sloppy rebuttal of the allegations.
That epistle.
Ilemona says, you've gone from announcing that this didn't exist or happen to saying that an investigation is to be conducted in a matter of days. SMH. 10/10 says, admittance of guilt number 1. What a joke. There must be a mass resignation of top-ranking government officials. This investigation cannot be done by ICPC and EFCC. Child Anson Odi
Chidi.
Oh, Chidi, okay.
Odinkalu.
Okay, says at official BAT needed to instruct at ICPC Nigeria to do its work.
That's a question.
That's a question.
So President needed to instruct ICPC to do its work. So if President, and that's a valid one, honestly.
So
if President Bola Tinubu did not give matching order, ICPC would not know.
It sounds like, now got involved though. Maybe step back.
Thank you. And this second
that's
question,
what sounded like.
I really love this question.
Who is the epicenter of the investigation? Is it the chief of staff or hashtag COS? Okay. When the commission submits its report, it will go to the president through whom?
Exactly.
Chief of staff. The only way for an investigation to be credible is that the chief of staff
has to
proceed on suspension. Okay. He actually has to proceed on suspension. Oh.
All right. Let's come to YouTube and take comments regarding this story. On YouTube, good morning, first of all, to our virtual audience. Where's the bell? Let's give a special good morning to our YouTube audience.
Bring it.
That's for you watching on YouTube. Thank you for joining us. Mokia Chukwemeka says, the president said he trusts his chief of staff. Well, like begets like, if you know what I mean. Monday Udo says, we are indeed the giant of Africa. Ochodi says, Ajuri. He said, Ajuri doesn't know what God has done for him. If you know, you know. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, Ajuri in Gelali. I actually wonder what he makes of all of this. Michael Zeus says, ICPC investigation is a smokescreen to shift public attention from hashtag Gbajabiamila, just like Better Edu case that was linked to Femi. This is the end of the matter. Mark my words as we await the next 30 days. He goes on to say the Senate response confirms that it is probably a bastion and cesspit of corruption where budgets are passed after prayer envelopes as alleged. Waiting for petition is like looking for a largesse. Mr. Johnson says, this question we are asking will definitely not be answered. It is so sad, very sad, that we have gotten to the point that consequences for our actions has disappeared in a country that claims to... Okay, I don't think that comment is complete yet. Monday Odo goes on to say, it's funny that government spokesperson were in time past very strong critics of the government. Were they? Really? Chuks Dani says, it is funny that the government is confused on the issues of fake agency. My sympathy for them. The sarcasm is loud. Melvin Oriawo says, it goes to show the crop of people we have in the Senate. That defense lacks exoneration, but indictment. You'll be surprised at other fake agencies in the budget. Niger na joke. Nathan Emmanuel says, this Senate continues to confirm that they are truly rubber stamp. Arthur Rich says, so ICPC needs to be directed to do its work. We need to have strong institutions, not strong men. Anthony Ogbe says, we are just speaking English. Nothing will happen to these people. And these are the sentiments that Nigerians have had. Benga, do you blame them when they say that nothing will happen?
I don't blame them.
They are judging from from previous character evidence and from precedents. When the whole Bettergate started, it wasn't called Bettergate. The only thing which the government of the day did at the time was to ask Betta Edu to step aside, and that investigation will be carried out till date.
We've not seen the results.
Well, at least she stepped aside. In this case, it doesn't look like anyone is going to step aside.
Well, maybe with the right amount of pressure, he will be asked to step aside, because at the end of the day, it's a reflection on President Bola.
Professor Odenkale did raise a very pertinent issue, because how would that report even get to the president? Through the chief of staff. You can't be sitting in that position and expect thorough investigation to be done. That's the reason they are not just saying step aside for the sake of step aside. It's for a transparent and for justice to be carried out. So let's see. Like Olive said, if
okay, Chukwemeka says of
pressure is put, maybe he might just step aside.
Regarding that, okay, Chukwemeka says if Gbaja isn't relieved of his duty, we should forget about the investigation. But then again, if he's relieved, it will still be the same outcome. Again, reflective of the breach of trust that we often sing about, so much so that we start to sound like a broken record. All the necessary parties here that have been implicated. Implicated is, the chief of staff, and we're not alluding to the guilt of the chief of staff. Yes, he is the epicenter of the investigation. So where people are arguing that he should step aside is to allow for a free, fair, credible investigation, because the chief of staff is at the highest echelons of power. Right? And you step aside, allow for free investigation. If they find out that you're culpable, you face the law. If they find out you're innocent, Prince Adeniyi will be made to face the law. And then all the people who helped him run that will be made to face the law. Then we will face the National Assembly. And as the National Assembly, who is telling us that it's not their responsibility to investigate the heads of MDAs, and comfortably are saying that they will not step into the arena because Nigerians have not made a petition. Over to you, Nigerians.
Please
let's move on to the next story. This one is a very important one. Is the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway behind the recent floods? Well, the Minister of Works, Senator David Umahi, says absolutely not. This comes as the Minister of Works, Senator David Umahi, has strongly dismissed claims that the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway is to blame for the recent floods being experienced in Lagos. He explained that the project was designed with proper drainage systems that channel stormwater into the lagoon, not the Atlantic Ocean, and that the elevated highway structure was built to withstand ocean surges. According to Umahi, the real issue lies in blocked drainage channels and indiscriminate waste disposal, which prevent water from flowing freely. Let's listen to him.
Our people, Lagosians, are carrying refuse to block the culverts, are pouring refuse inside the manhole. They are using concrete to block the discharge point. But we have solution, and we have discussed with Lagos State government, and I quote him yesterday evening. He said, the flood, in Lagos has been there before the coastal highway. It was there yesterday. It's there today. It will also be there tomorrow. But we do everything possible, because it's a natural occurrence, to see what we can do to continue to combat, the flood problems in Lagos, because Lagos is founded on lowland. And this is what everybody must know. It's like the natural disasters, in other countries. You have the earthquake, you have the hurricane, you have very, terrible snow problems. They come once in a while. There is this tradition here in Lagos where the rain will fall continuously for 7 days. When that happens, we must expect flood. So in the next, high-tech thing, you will see a practical form. And after that, we'll tell you what we are going to do with Lagos State government. But if you want to make an omelette, you have to break an egg. This is very important.
So the Minister of Works says that the Lagos Coastal Highway, the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road, is not the reason for the floods. And then it takes us back to the time when the press conference was had and a journalist, Leila Johnson-Salami, had asked him if the environmental impact assessment was carried out, to which he initially tried to ridicule her accent and make light of the question. And she stood her ground. He eventually said yes, it was available. She asked if it would be made available to the public. He said yes, it would. And the question is, was that environmental impact assessment truly carried? Was that EIA carried before the groundbreaking, or was it carried out during? Did they, go the whole 9 yards to assess the extent of the impact that the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway would have on the floods in Lagos? We haven't seen anything quite like this in such a long time. Building on drainages, blocking drainages, throwing refuse, indiscriminate disposal of refuse have been things we've struggled with in Lagos. Why is this year exceptionally different? The only factor that is different in this year is the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, which leads a number of people to believe that that is the cause. And if you apply that road when it rains, the flood is inconceivable on that road. So again, it's one thing for the government and the minister to say one thing, it's another thing for Nigerians to see. And it often feels like part of the blame is being shifted to citizens. It is the blocking of drainage. And to point out, we're not in any way supporting that. And we believe that citizens who are involved in blocking these drainage channels through their indiscriminate refuse dumping should be arrested and prosecuted because they are contributing to our problems. But that's not all. It doesn't seem that that's all that's a contributing evidence or contributing factor. Like, we've gotten to the point where when it's raining, I'm having palpitations. And I'm thinking, would I be able to get out of my house? Would I be able to make it to work? These 7 days rain that the minister is speaking of, we will prepare, because it would seem that when that time comes, Chiwetel, Benga, and Queen will be the one to go to the show, because how Joe and I will come to work, I'm not sure.
Queen is also affected. So it might just be me and Benga.
I mean, we have to wait for NIMET to really talk about this 7 days that
it almost always happens.
Talking about
every year.
He says the tradition.
Yeah.
But I mean, Mr. David Umahi is being economical with the truth, to put it lightly. The floods, I mean, no one is saying Coastal Highway is responsible for all the flooding in Lagos, but the Coastal Highway is a contributory factor to the flooding in that axis, the surrounding areas and houses. And we had the Honorable Commissioner of Environment and Water Resources, Honorable Tokunbo, did acknowledge this, and he said, they're working towards fixing it. We spoke with him, I believe it was last week, yes, and he said that they're fixing it. So to blame it on, global phenomenon and, severe weather patterns is not enough. There are things that the government can do to mitigate this flooding and bring about succor to the residents of these areas. I mean, he's right about indiscriminate dumping of refuse, those that have vandalized manhole covers, and then you have refuse in it. It's also on them. You need to have an enforcement mechanism. You need to have regular patrols that would ensure that this public utility, critical national assets, are not vandalized and used the way they are. So there's much to be desired by the government, and let's hope they step up and do what's necessary to end the suffering.
All right, just to mention that we're streaming live on YouTube, News Central TV Live. So regarding this story, go and drop your comments. We're talking about flooding in Lagos, as well as looking at what the minister said. The minister said it's not the fault of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, and it's you people's fault. You're the one dropping indiscriminate refuse and blocking the drainage channels. Drop your comments. We'll take them from YouTube. But let's head to X as well. Chiwetel.
All right, let's move on to X at this point. This one is from Kilon Kombos, okay? After he said it was there yesterday, it is there today. I was hoping he'd not say it will be there tomorrow. I blame myself for still hoping at least these guys will do the right thing someday. This is a human problem, and you're comparing it with earthquakes. Tony Abba says, zero accountability, zero desire to find a solution, just telling citizens to deal with it. SMH. Okay, Kilon Kombos again says, after he said it was... Okay, no, I've taken this before. Okay, looks like that. Okay, D. May said, our ancestors used hoe and cutlass. It was there yesterday, it is there today, to also be there tomorrow. But just look at the kind of human beings we have in power.
Well, there are so many things. We will go into the details of this story proper, especially because you've seen that the different incidences of flooding within Lagos, there have been different explanations that have been given by the minister as to what has caused it. But ultimately, it always shifts from the flood or the road being the problem. And the question is that excuse enough? Umahi says, Michael Zu says Umahi was in a hurry to demolish that US-based woman's property that started without EIA and deliberately started diverting the road. Experts are warning that Coastal Way will be wiped off in the future. The question is, this EIA, was it started before or during? And there are really gaps to look at regarding the environmental impact assessment, as well as a private investigation that was done about it. But we'll come into the details of that later on as we proceed into the show. Let's share what the headlines of today's story are. This morning on Breakfast Central, we'll be further expanding the conversation on President Tinubu orders ICPC to investigate the Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council over forged appointment claims. Gbajabiamila threatens 10 billion naira suit against the fake agency DG over defamatory allegations. El-Rufai Detention, ADC accuses ICPC of right violations. Same ICPC that is investigating this matter. EFCC operatives threaten to shoot new central crew over Guzape property siege coverage. We'll be reviewing the newspaper front pages this morning. Stay with us for all these and more. The fight against corruption is expected to uphold the rule of law, but it also places a heavy responsibility on state institutions to respect the rights guaranteed by that same law. That balance is once again under scrutiny following fresh allegations surrounding the detention of former Kaduna Governor Nasir El-Rufai, with the opposition African Democratic Congress accusing the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, of crossing the line from lawful prosecution into the violation of constitutional rights.
The ADC alleges that El-Rufai was denied adequate medical care after doctors at the National Hospital Abuja reportedly recommended his admission, insisting that the ICPC officials returned him to custody instead. The party also claims the incident escalated into the assault of El-Rufai's wife and the arrest of his personal physician. Allegations, it says, point to political prosecution rather than due process. While the ICPC has yet to publicly respond to these specific claims, the controversy has reignited questions about the treatment of detainees, the independence of anti-corruption agencies, and whether the pursuit of accountability can ever come at the expense of constitutional protections.
Joining us to discuss further is Mr. Ohio Ajakai, of course, is the ADC member. Mr. Ajakai, thank you so much for joining us on Breakfast Central. Now, the ADC has described Nasir El-Rufai as a political prisoner. Now, that's quite a very strong allegation. What evidence does your party have to support that claim?
Thank you very much for putting me on and giving us the opportunity to speak. First of all, I must make it aware that the ADC stance is straight, is that no one should be subject to inhumane detention conditions. Madam Nasir El-Rufai is under trial for a non-capital allegation, so he does have a right to bail. He was due for a medical checkup. The National Hospital Abuja recommended that he be put into medical admission, but the ICPC refused based on information available to us, and in the process his doctor was detained, his wife was also assaulted. I mean, this is draconian in our opinion, and it's not what the ADC stands for.
All right, still speaking about this issue, your party speaks about the fact, or alleges, that El-Rufai was denied proper medical care and that his wife was assaulted and his personal physician was arrested. Can you walk us through exactly what happened at the hospital and how the ADC was able to verify these claims? Okay,
so, Madam, one of the first fundamental rights of anyone in detention is access to medical care. This is fundamental, basic international law. It's called the Mandela rights. And Malam El-Rufai was transferred to the hospital for medical checkup at the National Hospital Abuja, and upon assessment of his medical records, which we're not going to publicly disclose what the medical details are, the doctors suggested that he'd be put under admission, and the ICPC refused, and obviously the wife and the family of Madam Nasir El-Rufai were present, the lawyers and the doctor, and they forcefully took him back into detention against the will of the doctors. I mean, life is sacrosanct, We believe in the EDC that regardless of anybody's political affiliation or race or tribe or whatever it is, you need access to medical care. And he was taken back in custody despite the advice of the medical professionals. And that is exactly what happened.
Now, the ICPC has yet to respond to the allegations your party is making. Are you concerned about prejudging the agency before its own account is made public, or do you believe the facts already speak for themselves?
Our position is clear. Our position is not that anyone should be above the law. Far from it. But what we believe is anybody accused of wrongdoing should be investigated. And our position is that prosecution is not persecution. And we're clear about that. And that's what we're asking for. And that's what the family are asking for. So as a result of that, what we're demanding from the ICPC is clear, concise, transparent feedback as to what happened. And for Malam Nasir El-Rufai to be given appropriate medical care. Once a prisoner is taken into custody, it is the government's responsibility to ensure that that person is given the appropriate rights and medical care.
As your party,
humane treatment.
Has your party made these protestations to the ICPC? Have you made them know your position on this, on the unfair treatment, alleged unfair treatment of Malam Nasir El-Rufai? And
yes, we have.
Okay.
Yes, we have. We've issued public statements. We've issued multiple public statements. We've written to them, and we just demand an answer. It's pretty much clear. Madam, this is somebody that voluntarily returned to the country from Egypt and presented himself to the ICPC. This is somebody that is a public personality. Madam Nasir El-Rufai was one of the best, if not the best, FCT minister that we had in terms of development. This is somebody who was a two-time governor of Kaduna State. So, seeing somebody like that being subject to such inhumane treatment is appalling. And I can't even imagine the mental stress and toll that is taking on the family of Malam Nasir El-Rufai. And this is the ADC's position.
Can you also speak to the allegations that are being made that his personal physician was arrested for making false statements?
Yeah, this is the information available to us, that the personal physician was arrested on charges that were not made clear at the time of arrest. If you're going to arrest somebody, again, these are fundamental basic knowledge. If you're going to arrest somebody, you need to make it clear what they're under arrest for. This has gone beyond prosecution. This is persecution. And the government, the ICPC, has a case to answer. This is the same ICPC that President Tinubu is asking to investigate his chief of staff, Gbajabiamila. What gives Nigerians the confidence and faith in the results of that investigation? And these are our concerns.
Mr. Jake, critics may argue that the ADC is simply defending one of its prominent figures. How do you convince Nigerians that your position is about protecting constitutional rights and not merely advancing a political narrative?
This is beyond political marathon. You might recall our presidential candidate, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, spoke up against the detention of the Bola Tinubu. a few months ago, and this is what the ADC are about. And when and if we form a government in 2027, we're looking to form a government that overhauls the judiciary, understands that the rights of the citizens are protected, understand that no prisoner or detainee should be restricted, should be given having restrictions to medical care. So it's beyond politics. This is fundamental human rights here that the ADC are speaking up against. For our presidential candidate, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar, to speak up against the detention of Omoyole Sowore, that says a lot about the government that we're looking to form. They're not in the same political party. You know, they have no affiliation. Sowore has spoken largely against Alhaji Atiku Abubakar in the past, but he still spoke up against his detention. And this goes beyond political gains or political statements. This is fundamental rights. It could be me tomorrow, it could be anybody tomorrow, it could be any of you tomorrow. Malam Nasir El-Rufai has not been alleged for a capital offense. Is every allegation made against him has a bail within the rights according to the Constitution, but he's been given very strict bail conditions, which I call personally draconian. I mean, it's ludicrous. It's things like 200 million naira, and then a traditional ruler, just absolutely stringent bail conditions. Malam El-Rufai have been given, and this is what the ADC are speaking up against, and we will continue to speak up against this.
If the court had, fixed 3 dates, accelerated hearing dates, July 6, 7, 8, and then he missed the first date, he missed appearing on the first date. Yes, he demanded to see his personal physician. Some are arguing that undercuts the argument of political persecution. How do you respond?
The dates have been set, and regardless of what it is, like I said at the start of his interview, life is sacrosanct. This is about somebody's life here. Nasir El-Rufai, apart from being who he is somebody's father, somebody's husband, somebody's grandfather. He has a right to life. He has a right to medical access, and this is the ADC's stance. So, just to add to that, according to the report, that he had not previously informed the ICPC of any medical condition before then, and it was at the point where they had come to pick him up that he had then refused to go with them, insisting on seeing his personal physician first. Is that correct? That's correct. And I'm sure you have a level of trust for your personal physician. If you're taken into custody, and at the time of being taken into custody, you don't have a medical condition, the medical condition can crop up, providing the medical evidence to that fact. Mm-hmm. And this is what has happened. So Malam Nasir El-Rufai has been to the National Office of Abuja. The doctor who have advised that he'd be put on admission and given medical care within the hospital, but he's been refused. And this is what the ADC is speaking up against.
Okay. Now, beyond demanding access to Malam Nasir El-Rufai's family and doctors, what immediate action is your party seeking from the ICPC?
What we're seeking, our position is quite clear. Immediate access for Malam Nasir El-Rufai to his wife, to his children, to the legal team. That's number one. Number two, an urgent review of the punitive bail conditions that Malam El-Rufai has been imposed on. An immediate end to the harsh and unnecessary restrictive conditions that he's been put under. This is what we're demanding. Full compliance of all constitutional guarantees given the treatment of person in custodies. Complete transparency from the ICPC regarding the legal and factual basis for every restriction imposed on Malam Nasir El-Rufai. And finally, an immediate use to the end of state institutions as an instrument of political intimidation, vendetta, and selective justice. This is what we're demanding from the ICPC.
All right, now you've made your demands. You've made your demands very clear. Do you have faith in the current administration to be able to see this through to an extent that your party, will see it as justice that is being done? Do you have faith in this administration?
I won't say we have faith based on history of this administration, which is why I said one of the things we're looking to do if and when we form a government, the ADC in 2027, is a judicial overhaul. And I wouldn't say we do, but we're calling on them and we demand that they do the necessary thing with regards to the case of Malam Nasir El-Rufai. The family are under severe emotional trauma, and it just needs to end. His offences are not capital. His allegations not capital. He does have a right to bail. He has a right to medical treatment, and that's what we're demanding. This is somebody, like I said, that turned up himself voluntarily upon return from Egypt, and he was put under detention.
All right. In totally on maybe slightly related news, we'll continue to follow up with the matter with Malam Nasir El-Rufai and see how this is handled by the ICPC, as well as asking the questions that matter. But how ready is your party for elections?
We're well prepared. We're very prepared for elections in all the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT, at local government level, ward level. We're very prepared, and Nigerians are ready to end the APC, to send President Bola Tinubu back to Lagos. We're all prepared. Consultations are happening. Our vice presidential candidate, His Excellency Rotimi Amici, is doing the hard work. So is our candidate, Atiku Abubakar. We're very well prepared for the election. I'm looking forward to sending the platform.
I was asking because we see a lot of things that have happened with your party, and then recently there was news that a former political ally of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar had left your party for the APC, and I'm going to quote what she had said. She said that her decision followed years of political engagement with the opposition, which, according to her, had failed to present a credible development agenda for the country. And I'm going to quote, it says, after almost 2 decades of dedicated engagement, it has become undeniably clear that the opposition lacks a meaningful development blueprint or a viable and sustainable national rescue plan. That's what she says about your party.
Back to that by saying our candidate, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, has made his plans clear, has had consistent plans in the last runs he's had. His manifesto is clear on what he's going to do to get Nigeria walking again. So politics is all about movement and, ups and downs, and people move left, right, and center, and people are entitled to their thoughts and their opinion. But what we do know in the ADC is that we're forming a government in 2027 that will get Nigeria walking again. I can assure you of that. His plans and his goals have remained consistent, and pretty much a lot of things he's suggested, just like what we see now, state police, and what we're hearing regarding things like certain privatization or certain government agencies have happened. So he suggests things, and he's criticized for suggesting them, and then months or years down the line, the same thing he suggested is then implemented. So it's just what we found. And this is why we're looking forward to forming a government in 2027.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on the show. We wish the ADC all the best, and we'll continue to follow up with Malam Nasir El-Rufai. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, have threatened to shoot the news crew of the New Central Television following the attempted coverage of a property at the Guzape area of Abuja under litigation, but also under siege by armed EFCC personnel. New Central crew, led by its Abuja Bureau chief, had visited the property to follow up on the case, but met with stiff resistance after meeting with the counsel of Rebecca Omokaro Isaac, the alleged owner of the property, who had been held inside for the last 9 days. The lawyer accused the EFCC of disobeying a valid court order, which is mandating all parties to show restraint pending the determination of the case. Let's take a look.
According to the learned, his lordship, parties were to maintain status quo antebellum. What is status quo antebellum in law? Status quo antebellum simply means parties should maintain the position of things as they were before the suit was instituted or before the war commenced. What was the status of things before the case commenced? Our client was in possession. That is the status of things. But upon serving EFCC, they brought under interpretation that the court saying that you should maintain status quo ante antebellum and status quo antebellum means for them to continue holding on to the property until the final case is determined. So that in simple parlance, our client is being presumed guilty until proven innocent. That is what it means. It's an obviation of the law. You are presumed innocent until proven guilty, not the other way around. And our client has been locked in this property. The EFCC has defied the said order. Until today, she's been held hostage. No light, no water since she has been in the house when they took over the house on the 29th.
It's quite an interesting situation there. I'm just hoping that at the end of the day, EFCC does what is right as regards this situation. I don't think once you see press people, you should start to threaten to shoot them. That's quite ancient, if you ask me, or archaic in terms of the fact that if we're talking about freedom of press at this point in time, this kind of things shouldn't be happening to press people. All right, let's bring you up to speed as regards what's coming up next. President Tinubu orders ICPC to investigate Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council over forged appointment claims. We'll talk more about that. Femi Gbajabiamila threatens 10 billion naira suit against fake agency DG Adeniyi Adeyemi. We're also going to be analyzing State of the Nation with Senator Peter Umahi, of course. Stay tuned for more. Still watching Breakfast Central. Now, infrastructure, diplomacy, and security are colliding in ways that demand urgent attention. These conversations take center stage on our discussions today, as just recently, the Minister of Works embarked on an inspection tour of key projects in Lagos, praising contractors of what he described as exceptionally high-quality delivery. But beyond the optics, Nigerians are asking, are these projects truly meeting the standards of transparency, durability, and accountability that our nation deserves?
And while roads and bridges dominate headlines at home, abroad, the Senate has also raised its voice against renewed xenophobic attacks on Nigerians in South Africa, warning of possible diplomatic consequences. At the same time, insecurity continues to escalate across parts of Nigeria, with kidnappings, banditry and communal clashes threatening lives daily. Join us this morning for this discussion on Breakfast Central is a Senate Deputy Chief Whip, a member of the Senate Committee on Work, Senator Peter Umahi. A warm welcome to you, distinguished Senator, and thanks for joining us this morning on Breakfast Central.
Thank you so very much for the opportunity.
Now, distinguished Senator, you accompanied the Minister of Works, Engineer David Umahi, recently in his tour of projects in Lagos, and the minister did praise Lagos contractors for exceptionally high quality of work, but Lagos residents have been complaining that, especially around the coastal road corridor, that this coastal road is a contributory factor to the flooding in those areas. But the minister did say the indiscriminate dumping of refuse and vandalism of some of the manholes and people not following the Lagos master plan is the cause of the flooding along that corridor. Could you specifically tell us if this is a true situation of things?
Thank you so very much for this wonderful opportunity for me to throw light on the achievements of President Bola Tinubu in terms of road infrastructure in Nigeria. And I will start by submitting that it is evidently clear for those who are objective, those who are not playing politics, that since amalgamation of Nigeria down to independence in 1960, no president, I repeat, no president has done 1/10 of what President Tinubu has done in our road infrastructure within the past 3 years. And what we should know as Nigerians is that we've gotten it right, at least in the area of road infrastructure, because this is a man who is doing miracle. He's building road, he's not constructing road. He's building roads that will last for over 100 years. This is what is obtainable in India. This is what is obtainable in China and other developed world. And I must tell you, concrete road is not comparable to asphalt road. No matter the quality of the asphalt, no matter the expert that is doing the work. So we've seen it as Senate Committee on Works, and we'll give kudos to President Bola Tinubu. And that takes us to the man behind the scene, the Minister of Works. This is a man who I've always described as Minister Extraordinary. He's always on his toes, supervising the work, tackling the contractors to make sure that they do the work in line with the terms and conditions of the job, which never happened. So I give it to them, I give it to Honorable Minister, and I give it to our father, President Bola Tinubu. If you listen to the Chairman Senate Committee on Works, and of course the House Committee on Works, we have nothing to fault because things are going the way we expected. Because the ministry have carried us along from the beginning of the job, as the job is progressing, and at the conclusion of every section of the road. And we've tested the concrete, we've tested the reinforcement independently, and they all corresponded to the specifications of the job. So I must give it to the president. If not for any other thing, what President Tinubu has done in our road infrastructure is enough to return him to Aso Rock 2027 general election. And outside that, if you look at what he's doing in the area of insecurity, because these are the two basic challenges we have today as a nation, poor road network and insecurity. And he's tackling these two problems headlong. Just last week, we passed the law amending our constitution to create room to enable the state, create state police to solve the immediate local security need. Tell me that president that has that bold mind to do that. Only President Tinubu can do it. And he did it. So we as parliament, we are proud of what President Bola Tinubu is doing.
I mean, distinguished senator, you just reeled out his achievements, but I mean, given some are still saying that they're complaining about the quality of the work and the lack of an environmental impact assessment that is available to members of the public. That's why we're witnessing flooding along the corridor. What's the government's, you were part of that inspection, what's the government's response and solution to this flooding that might have been caused? Some engineers have testified to it. We did interview the Lagos State Commissioner of Environment. He also said, yes, it's a contributory factor. So what's the federal government doing to mitigate the flooding of those affected by this coastal road along that corridor?
Thank you so very much. Well, let me disagree with you that the construction of the coastal road is a contributory factor to the flooding we're experiencing in Lagos. That is not correct.
Not all parts of Lagos.
That is fallacious.
Not all parts of Lagos. It's not contributing
in any way.
Okay.
It did not. Let me clear the coast. It did not in any way, contribute to the flooding we are seeing in Lagos. The flooding in Lagos is as old as the city itself. If you listen to what the governor's submission, the Commissioner for Environment, and of course, Director in charge of Environment in Lagos. So instead, the coastal road has even prevented the flood from entering the city. So what caused the flood, of course, is what we've known. Lagos is a city on a coastal line. So what is required in Lagos is for the state government to construct underground drainage that will collect all this water to the lagoon. You can't channel the water from the streets, to the sea. It's not done. Even the law of the Lagos state government is against that. So what they need to do is to do what they need to do as state government. The federal government have done the road, and the road is not in any way contributing to the flooding. It has been happening there. It happened last year. It has been happening for the past 60 years. So what they need to do as state government, who've told them to do that, what the Federal Minister of Works need to do, they will do that. All geared towards to make sure that the inhabitants of Lagos is free from all this flood once and for all. So the coastal road is not in any way, the cause of the flooding in Lagos. It has been there.
Senator, if I want you to clearly answer this. Are you saying that the reason why we are having the flooding is because of a failure of the Lagos state government?
Yes, the flood has been there. This is not the first time Lagos state government is experiencing flooding. It has been there. So when they do what they're supposed to do on the environment, Some are human contributory factors, like people are blocking the waterways. Some people are building on the waterways. Some people are dumping refuse on the waterways. All these things are contributory factor. But what you should take home is that the coastal road, instead of contributing to the flooding, has presented and preserved the main city from being wiped out by the flood.
All right, distinguished Senator, away from Lagos and its flooding issues now, if we move towards the rural areas, we see that a lot of rural areas are suffering from basic infrastructure like bad roads, for example, and we know how we're battling with insecurity at this point in time. My question is it justifiable that we're sinking in billions of naira into the Lagos-Calabar coastal roads as opposed to actually building good roads for the rural areas to help enable or to help tackle insecurity?
Well, the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road is just one of the legacy projects of President Bola Tinubu. It's happening in every zone, and I can, if you spend me with your time, I can take you through them. For example, if you have the time, come and drive through Abuja, Kaduna, Kano Highway. It's ongoing on concrete pavement. Now, if you go through the Badagry-Sokoto axis of the legacy project, is ongoing on concrete pavement, and you live there, you come through Abuja, moving towards the Lokoja, is ongoing on concrete pavement. Likewise in Benin section, from Auchi, is ongoing on concrete pavement. And I'll take you to the southeast, from Onitsha to Enugu, over 500 kilometers, is ongoing on concrete pavement. In fact, one lane of the double carriageway has been completed and put in use. And I will take you far, from Enugu to Aba to Port Harcourt. One carriageway is completed on concrete pavement and has been opened for use. And I will take you down to Calabar, from Calabar to Afikpo, to Ebonyi, to Benue, to Abuja here. A new route has been opened. So what are you talking about? If you go to Jos, to Akwanga, it's ongoing on concrete pavement. Just 2 days ago, in Borno State, we flagged off a road, going from Maiduguri, to the Republic of Chad, to open international trade for our people. It's ongoing on concrete pavement. So maybe you're not in Nigeria. If you're in Nigeria, I invite you to join the Ministry of Works in the course of our next oversight tour. You will see that no president since 1960 has done the number of roads and quality of roads President Bola Tinubu is doing. Can you give us the numbers? They are all facts that are speaking for itself.
Can you give us the numbers? Seeing as, that's your department, you have the numbers of the roads. How far?
Yes, sir.
How many roads have been completed? How many roads have been established in the time of President Bola Tinubu, so that we can compare it vis-a-vis what has existed before?
Thank you so very much. I will refer you to your correspondence in Lagos yesterday, because we unveiled the number of roads that is ongoing under President Bola Tinubu. It is a pamphlet. I will offer you one. You will see wonders that President Bola Tinubu is doing. And they are all there. And people are happy. That is why everybody is decamping into APC. Because people have seen the difference between social media politics and politics that is on ground. As of today, President Bola Tinubu has won his election by 85% based on what he has done that people are seeing. Not just road, but quality of road that we've never seen. The quality of road you can see in India, you can see in China, roads that will last for 100 years. Meaning that the successive 8 presidents that will come after President Tinubu will not repeat such roads. We will not target those resources to other areas like energy, education, and health. That is the way we can develop as a nation.
All right. If I may come in at this point, you've said here that because of all the work that the APC is doing with the roads is why everybody is moving to the APC. Do you genuinely believe that the people who are moving to the APC are moving because they believe in the work that is being done by the APC? And it's not political.
That side, yes.
Every time.
That side, yes.
If I may land, please.
Yes, and I'll give you reason.
If I may land with my question, if I may land with my question, please. I would like to land with my question. Ms. Honorable Boyim, what I was saying is, every time that we've heard that politicians move to the APC, the explanation the majority of them would give is they want to align themselves with the center. And from the outside, what a number of Nigerians see is that it's shrouded in politics, because it looks like the APC is the incumbent, of course, and so wielding the power of incumbency. The opposition has accused the APC of constantly setting landmines, and especially with regards to the person of, for example, Peter Obi, and every time that he went to a new political party, the accusation by the opposition was that the APC is setting landmines. So again, now you may answer, do you genuinely believe that everyone is moving to the APC because they believe in what the APC is doing? And that if you asked the majority of Nigerians how they feel about how the APC has fared so far, that the result will be positive?
I will start by saying that I am a politician, and I will tell you how it works. For example, in Ebonyi State, we had members of APC in the parliament and members of other parties in the parliament, both national and the state. But immediately, Ebonyi people started seeing a new road traversing from Calabar down to Isheke, passing my own community, connecting Benue and connecting Abuja. Our people came and said, who is doing this road? And we said it's President Bola Tinubu. All of them defected on their own to APC. Nobody lobbied them. They are not coming into APC to contest election. They have no political interest. Some of them are great leaders of this country. They said no. For this man to have remembered Igbo race by opening a new commercial route, which will make it possible for somebody from Abakaliki to get to Abuja within 3 to 4 hours, that this alone have made them to believe in Tinubu. So that's an example.
Okay.
So if somebody is telling you a different thing, that they are joining APC to align with the center, that may be secondary. But the primary reason is that Nigerians, particularly the elites, have seen what they've never seen in the past administration of this country. Not only that the man is doing the road, but is doing it in a very exceptional quality. So my sister, when you see something good, please appreciate it. Everything is not politics. The man you mentioned is one of our leaders that we respect in Southeast, but he is aware that he's not contesting to win, because it's not our turn. In Nigerian politics, you can't do away with zoning. Okay. Even though it shouldn't be. Everything should be on merit. But things have made it that we are still developing in all ramification. We are still developing infrastructurally. We are still developing in the political mindset. So anybody from Southeast who is contesting to be president of Nigeria 2027 is embarking on what I can describe as a wasteful venture.
Now, distinguished Senator, the primary responsibility of government, as written in the Nigerian Constitution, is to secure the lives of Nigerians. And if you look at the statistics, according to Global Terrorism Index, this year alone, Nigeria is the 6th most terrorized nation in the world. And remember when the current president was in the opposition, he did write to a tweet addressing former President Goodluck Jonathan during the Boko Haram insurgency, the height of it. He said, Mr. President, please resign if the buck stops at your table. Don't you think this government doesn't really have the right to seek re-election, haven't failed woefully at securing the lives of Nigerians? And the data is there to prove this. We are the 6th most terrorized nation in the world. It's day 54 since those kids that were kidnapped in Oyo National Park area were kidnapped, and they've still not been rescued. And we've seen multiple incidents of this across the nation. So why should Nigerians vote for government who has failed in the most basic of responsibilities in securing their lives?
I agree with you that security is one of the basic, mandates of every government, at every level. But let me assure you that yes, the president is the commander-in-chief, but he has done what he's supposed to do, which no president has ever done. And I believe that that measure taken by President Bola Tinubu through the parliament by amending the constitution to allow for the establishment of state police to tackle immediate security needs of our localities. Nobody has ever done that. No president has ever taken that bold step. So it's another credit that must go to President Bola Tinubu. And I must say that we shouldn't play politics with the lives of Nigerians, with the insecurity, because even you as a journalist, you know the cause of that insecurity. You also know why that insecurity is on the rise. But I've always said that God will reward everybody according to his work. Those who are instigating insecurity to prove a point against the government in power, God will pay them. Because God sees the heart of men. So,
Senator
I must tell you
just said you shouldn't politicize insecurity.
By the measure, please allow me to express myself. Insecurity, by the measure put in place by this present administration, will be eradicated before 2031. I can assure you of that.
Senator Wemboy, you just said that we should not politicize insecurity. And in the same breath, you're warning, that those who are using or instigating insecurity, basically inferring that they're doing it to give a bad image to the current administration, which is something that a number of people within your party as well have said. And Nigerians typically would frown upon that. Isn't that also a statement politicizing insecurity? That's one part. The second part was in your answer. You said even we as journalists know what the cause of insecurity is. We don't know. Please enlighten us.
No, you have information more than us.
I don't.
No, you have information more than us.
Well, whose responsibility is it to deal with it, this insecurity? Because you mentioned 2031.
It is government, and you are doing that.
Yes.
And if you listen, if you listen to me objectively, I expect that your next question should be centered on the state police because it's new. So let's go there.
We will come to state police, but you're saying that insecurity will be sorted out by 2031. This is 2026. That's another 5 years. How many more lives will be lost before we get there? Oftentimes, the criticism we hear about insecurity, regarding insecurity, is the fact that, one, there isn't a political will. That's often what we hear. Recently, we heard about the people who were rescued. It was termed a rescue. But we don't see anything regarding the terrorists and the bandits who were apprehended as a result of the kidnappings. And it's this same administration that will talk about not negotiating with terrorists. But what the average Nigerians are doing right now, working, putting together their money to be able to pay terrorists. A resident within that community mentioned that they paid 25.5 million naira to the terrorists to be able to reclaim these same people that were reportedly rescued by this current government and brought back to their people. So are we being 100% honest with the fight against insecurity?
Well, I want to say that the information you've just given is unverified. That information is unverified information, and I won't respond to that. But all I can tell you, which I've said here, is that this present administration have put up a measure to curb insecurity in Nigeria. All we need to do is to hold our state governors accountable, to establish their state police, to guide their states. Gone are the days when we continue to pour blame on the president. The president is one man. Yes, he's the commander-in-chief, but we have regional heads who are also commander-in-chief in their states. So he has given them power. Secure your people. Secure your people. So this long-awaited power has been given. And that is why I said, with the measure put in place by this present administration, if anybody is unable to secure his state, then something is wrong. Then the governor is incompetent, and the citizens should hold him accountable. For example, in my own state, we don't see kidnapping. We don't observe sit at home as being observed in other states, because we have a competent governor, a committed governor, a youthful and useful governor, a governor who leads the operation by himself, a governor who doesn't sleep, a governor who, if you try to kidnap anybody in a body, within 24 hours, you'll be getting down, and the people will be rescued. Other governors should emulate a Ebonyi State governor. The president has given you power to so do.
All right, distinguished Senator Wemboy, we're going to take a short break, take a pause on this conversation. When we return, the conversation continues. To stay with us. Still Breakfast Central here, and we're having a conversation with the distinguished Senator Umahi, who, of course, we've been talking about the state of the nation. Senator Umahi, before we went on that break, we're talking about insecurity, and you literally, pointed that we talk about this particular situation. So let's talk about it, which is the state police. Of course, we saw the speed at which this bill was being passed, but some Nigerians are concerned about the fact that there might be issues with individual states being able to fund the police. What's your take on that, and should we be bothered about that at this point?
Well, we are going to, by the time we come up with the full State Police Act, of course, we are going to spell out their modus operandi so that it will not be abused and the target will be met. So we are going to spell out details on how it's going to work. Their funding won't be a problem because their funding is going to be, from the state resources. And of course, they're going to be receiving their allocation direct from the federation account. So funding won't be a problem. But what we are telling Nigerians and what everybody should brace up for is that we have given powers to each state to secure their people. And each state has all the infrastructure, all the personnel. What is required is the political will, to push this program devoid of any form of political, affiliation. We must all face this as a common problem. And that takes me to what I said earlier, that we shouldn't play politics with insecurity because it's affecting everybody, both the ruling party and the opposition. So this is the time for all hands to be on deck. And I want to use this medium to call on those who are tackling or accusing President Tinubu based on insecurity. Let them be constructive in their criticism. If you feel that this is what the president is supposed to do to completely eradicate this problem, let us know. That is how opposition works. Tell us your own idea. Tell us what you can do if you are there. Don't say, let me be there first. What if we allow you to be there and you got worse? So anybody talking, tell us what you will do to end this problem within a period of time. That is how to criticize government, not to come and criticize fallaciously and condemn all the government is doing. We will make progress as a nation. So let's be more objective. If there is anything we need to do outside the establishment of state police for us to completely eradicate insecurity in this nation, let us know. Our government is a listening government. Our government is people-oriented government. And President Bola Tinubu is a known Democrat all over the world. He listens and is after the progress of this country.
Okay, distinguished Senator Umahi, let's talk about one of the biggest scandals, unprecedented, rocking the presidency. One of the functions, or the major function of the Nigerian Senate, is to provide oversight over the executive and, of course, also pass laws. 1.3 billion naira line item was inserted into the budget that was scrutinized by the Senate, sent to the presidency for assent, and it's causing a lot of controversy today. I'm talking about the PFIPC, the so-called Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council, headed by Prince Adeyemi. Mr. President has intervened, has ordered the ICPC to do a thorough investigation and get back with its report in 30 days. As a member of the 10th Senate who looked through this budget, how did this so-called fake agency find its way into our budget? And what's your take on this scandal that is affecting your party? Because there are unprecedented breaches of institutional protocol in this, and it looks quite messy, to say the least.
Well, I won't deny that I didn't hear about what you just mentioned, but in government, there is separation of power. We'll have the executive, we are the parliament, of course, the judiciary is there. The matter you just mentioned is within the executive. And it is not before us, because if it's before us, it has to be through a petition addressed to the Senate Committee on Public Petition. That is only when I can, as a member of that committee, say one or two things on that matter. But all I can say is that the man in question is a gentleman, a known parliamentarian, former Speaker of House of Reps, and in his days, he performed in a very exceptional manner, devoid of any form of blemishes. And today, we see him as one of our best.
So which one are you speaking about?
Of the case. You just said that a panel has been set up to investigate it. We are waiting for the outcome of that investigation.
The Senate does have questions to answer, because you did pass that budget. You scrutinized the budget. You sent it to Mr. President for assent. And I
said there is no petition before us. We're a system. We have a system.
As a concerned Nigerian,
if somebody is making such allegation officially, he should write to the Senate. We cannot jump into a matter that we're seeing on social media or on the television. We don't work that way.
I don't think you understand, Senator, I don't think you understand what my colleague is saying, and maybe I should try to explain what he's trying to say.
Very well.
What he's trying to say. So
I understand vividly.
Okay, so does the Senate look through every single line item on the budget before it is passed?
We do.
So that means you are admitting that the Senate did not do a thorough job by allowing this line item slip into the budget. This line item that the presidency has now said that this agency does not exist. The major, you can see it there, it's number 18 on the budget. It's there. It says 1.3 billion that was allocated, to 1.302 billion allocated to the Presidential Economic Advisory Council. Are you admitting that the Senate did not do a thorough enough job in scrutinizing the budget?
We did a thorough enough job, but I can tell you that what you are showing on the screen is unverified. I can't talk based on what you are showing me. If you feel that the Senate or the committee of the committee, let me clear you. If you feel that we've not done well or fail to do our duty, you come up by word of complaint for clarification in black and white. Then we'll respond to you, black and white. We don't talk on speculation.
Okay, it's not speculation.
It's not verified.
It's not.
There's no signature. Nobody authenticated that document.
Your fellow senator has authenticated it.
For me to look at it and say, yes,
can I mention,
this is product of the Nigerian Senate.
Okay.
So I don't talk based on speculation.
Speaking with journalists after plenary, this was yesterday, the 7th of July, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Media and Publicity, Senator Adeniyi Adeyemi Matthew, acknowledged that the PFIPC has a budgetary allocation in the 2026 Appropriation Act. So your colleague acknowledged that.
Then continue with him. He's a spokesperson of the Senate. But I've told you what I've told you. I can't comment on speculation, because what you are showing me is speculation. It's not before me.
Are you saying your colleague made a speculation that he couldn't verify? Is that what you're saying?
He's responsible for his statement. I'm a senator. I'm responsible for whatever I say here.
Okay.
As a concerned Nigerian, as a citizen, as a patriotic citizen of Nigeria, does this scandal bring any sort of discomfort to you, especially knowing that the senator, the Senate, the Nigerian Senate, is indicted in one way or the other?
Well, I must tell you, I'm one of those young Nigerians that hope that Nigeria will be better. And if you watch my antecedents, if you watch my contribution in the Senate, I've always stood for what is right. I've always pointed out any inconsistency I see in any system and at any stage. I don't look at anybody's face. I'm a lawyer. I know my rights. I know my limits. But on this issue, I have no official report as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Senate has no report through the Committee of Public Complaint on this matter. So I can't comment further on this.
Anyway, a number of Nigerians find it quite convenient for the Senate to punt on this matter, to remove itself from here, because no official report has been brought before the Senate. Well, let's talk about how this reflects on your party, seeing as you will not comment on the other part. How do you think this reflects on the All Progressives Congress? President Bola Tinubu's chief of staff has been indicted in this matter. The presidency, through Bayo Ononuga, came out to speak to say that this agency was set up, to disregard this agency, saying that the CBN accounts were opened through forged documents given to the Office of the Accountant General. Office of the Accountant General, on the other hand, has come out to say that they didn't open a number of these accounts, or that, monies haven't passed through them. They were incomplete documents. So we are seeing different statements being made from different people. The same Bayo Ononuga, who initially put out a statement, upholding the integrity of Femi Gbajabiamila, has now come out to say that the presidency should, has said that this should be investigated. How do you think this reflects on the All Progressives Congress?
Well, I think you're putting the cart before the horse. Because before you mention the word indictment, that should be at the conclusion of that investigation. So I beg you to withdraw the word indictment, because if there is a panel investigating a matter, you cannot indict a man before the conclusion of the investigation. It doesn't work that way. In law, you must hear from both sides before you come up with, with a conclusion, either indicting the accused or freeing the accused. So not until that.
Mr. Mweboye, we're not saying that anybody is guilty, but it's a wrong reflection on the chief of staff.
Indictment. Do you know the meaning of the word indictment?
Mr. Mweboye, let's not try to play politics with this. Okay, I take back the word indictment. How does this reflect on the... How does this reflect on the... Mr. Mweboye, how does this reflect on the All Progressives
Because
Congress?
if the report comes out opposite, then somebody is liable.
How does this... The question I asked you was, how does this reflect on the APC?
It has no effect, it has no impact on our party. If, for example, supposing, but without conceding that one member of our party goes contrary to the law, it's fallacious for you to conclude that over 15 million members of the party are corrupt. Don't go there.
Nobody said any of that. All of the things that you're saying are just things that you are the one inferring. Nobody, said anything about 500 or how many members of your party being corrupt. These persons who are the lead figures are members of the APC.
Yes.
This is an APC-led administration. So when we ask this question, is because the president, the chief of staff, who is the leader of your party, it is his government that is being, that has these huge allegations being thrown. And regardless of how it turns out, Femi Gbajabiamila is presumed innocent until proven guilty, section 36, subsection 5. The matter will be decided by the court. However, again, it will still come back to your National Assembly for not thoroughly looking through the line items and allowing that slipping, because Senator Adeniyi Adeyemi has confirmed that it was in the Appropriation Act. But I guess this is where we'll draw the curtains on the conversation. Honorable Senator Mweboye, thank you for joining us this morning on Breakfast Central.
And I want to thank you for using the word allegation.
All right.
Thank you, distinguished Senator. It was a pleasure speaking with you. We look forward to speaking with you sometime soon. Thank you. Nigeria's president, we'll go on a quick break. You're still watching Breakfast Central, and when we return, we still have quite a lot to unpack. Do stay with us. Breakfast Central continues shortly.
If we all start talking about the legal meaning of things, we won't have conversations.
back, still Breakfast Central. Now, President Bola Tinubu has directed the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, to conduct a comprehensive investigation into the activities of the Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council, PFIPC, and all related matters. Now, the President gave the Commission 30 days to submit its report and ordered all ministries, departments, and agencies to fully cooperate with the investigation. Now, the probe will examine allegations of forged appointment letters and government documents, the use of a false claim of presidential appointment to obtain official recognition and diplomatic support. Now, the opening of bank accounts in the names of purported government agencies, the movement of funds, and the role of any public officials or private individuals who may have enabled the alleged scheme. Now, the investigation will also identify weaknesses in government processes and recommend measures to prevent a recurrence.
The directive follows the controversy surrounding Prince Adeniyi Adeyemi, who claims he was lawfully appointed as the Director General of the PFIPC, despite the President's insistence that the council does not exist. Police investigations have already led to an 8-count criminal charge against Adeyemi and 2 others over allegations including forgery and impersonation. Meanwhile, Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, has threatened a 10 billion defamation lawsuit against Adeyemi over allegations linking him to murder, bribery and abuse of office. Through his lawyers, Gbajabiamila denied ever meeting or having any dealings with Adeyemi, describing the allegations as false and malicious, and demanded a public retraction, apology, and the removal of all related publications within 72 hours. All face legal action. Join us this morning on Breakfast Central is the Deputy Director of the Social, Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, Kolawole Adisa Oluwadare. Also joining us is Head of Mission, Leadership and Accountability Initiative, Henry Nwazurwa, who joins us live from Abuja. One welcome, gentlemen, and thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to start with Kola in our studio in Lagos. What's the official position of your organization, the Social, Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, on this scandal?
I think it's not a scandal. Perhaps it's a scandal if someone from the presidency or the president considers it so. It's malfeasance of the highest order. It's one of those symptoms of impunity we've been talking about for a long time. And SERAP has issued a public statement on what we think, and we've also sent a freedom of information request to the National Assembly and other agencies of government, essentially asking each of these institutions to state the role they played or ought to have played according to the laws that set these agencies up in the allocation of budgetary allocation to this disavowed institution, as it were.
Disavowed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's also get Henry Nwazurwa, whose response to this. The presidency has set up the ICPC to lead investigations and return in 30 days with feedback concerning this, what it has now been popularly referred to as Gbajagate. Let's get your thoughts on your expectations for how this will play out.
Thank you so much, and God bless you and everyone in the studio. God bless your viewers. I want to say something, and I need it to be very clear, okay? The presidency should not be the one setting up an investigative committee or whatever on this matter. It should not come from Aso Rock, because Aso Rock has shown its bias in support and in covering for Femi Gbajabiamila, who is the Chief of Staff to the President. The Nigerian nation should be separate from the Tinubu's government. Tinubu has 4 years as President of Nigeria. There is Nigeria, there is APC, and then there are the institutions that make up the Nigerian nation. The presidency, headed by President Bola Tinubu, should not be the one to say, ICPC, go and prosecute this matter. That already taints the whole investigation. It taints the whole process. We should have ICPC on its own as an independent. The name ICPC is Independent Corrupt Practices Commission. Independent. It does not need to rely on Aso Rock for directives. It does not need to rely on any politician, any Tinubu or Gbajabiamila or SGF. Independent Corrupt Practices Commission. They should on their own decide to investigate not only this commission, but also to investigate Gbajabiamila. And its investigation should not only be limited to this so-called phantom commission or agency. It should be limited to his 3 years in office as chief of staff to President Tinubu. So I have a serious problem with President Tinubu being the one that is directing this investigation, because the ICPC will look at it, oh, this involves the president's chief of staff. We cannot afford to offend the president. You understand what I'm being? Let's just be very real with ourselves this morning. ICPC, to investigate that matter, the directive should not come from Aso Rock, unless the only way we're going to take that seriously is if the same Aso Rock, in trying to find fairness and justice in this matter, has decided to suspend his chief of staff. But as long as Femi Gbajabiamila remains chief of staff to President Bola Tinubu, Tinubu asking ICPC to interrogate or whatever, investigate the commission, is good as telling them go and find a reason to destroy or whatever, to judge or to whatever, to the commission. If we want, as a nation, there is a country before APC, there is a country before Tinubu. The Nigerian nation should be able to interrogate this matter, not APC, not Tinubu. The country as a whole, the country as itself, should be able to say, Gbajabiamila has been accused of so and so fraud. We want to be able to investigate without any coloration, without anybody breathing down our neck. That is my stand.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing your stand. I would like us to speak about the role that the National Assembly plays in all of this, because a few minutes ago, if you were watching, we had Senator Mweboy join us to speak about the fact that they had done a thorough job, yet it maintains a line item in the budget. The question is, how did it get there? Did the National Assembly do their job? And is it a comfortable enough or a good enough excuse for the National Assembly to say, or senators to say that, they're not, nobody has brought it before the House. No Nigerian has brought the petition before the House, and because the matter is sub judice, they will not speak on it. And I'll have Kolawale Oluwadari speak to us on that. But let's quickly connect with our lead correspondent here at News Central, who's in Katsina at the moment, bringing us reports regarding the preparation for our Katsina Town Hall happening tomorrow. We have Bernard Akede, who met with the Commissioner of Police yesterday, I believe. Hello, Bernard. Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. Speak to us about how much progress has been made so far regarding the planning for our town hall and what information you've been able to gather.
All right, thank you, Olive, and good morning, everyone on the breakfast show, everyone in the breakfast team. So yesterday, like you clearly mentioned, we met with the Commissioner of Police here in Katsina State, CP Fage. We introduced the town hall to him, basically, and he seemed very interested. And largely, like the MD did say, it will be sharing of information to aid, or rather sharing of experience by those who have been, impacted by the insecurity situation in the state. Which will possibly aid information gathering and that could help the security architecture on the ground to solve some of these issues and these cases that they have. Now, the governor, I beg your pardon, the CP didn't dispel the fact that clearly there are cases of insecurity in the state and that he is hoping that the town hall will be an avenue, like we always have had, for affected persons to air their views in the presence of government officials and policymakers, so that somehow, at some point, could it be possible that there's some kind of information they can get from these persons that maybe have not been gotten before, or that could be very useful, to solving some of these issues that they have, that hopefully they will be able to get those information. We explained to him why we feel that this town hall is necessary, why we've been having these town halls in different parts of the country and beyond. And he seemed very appreciative of the fact that we have brought it to Katsina State. And finally, he said that this town hall, I beg your pardon, is very timely and couldn't have come at a better time.
Now, Bernard, before we let you go, it's your first time in Katsina. It's the first of the series in Katsina State. What are your expectations and who are the stakeholders we're expecting to attend today's event?
All right, thank you, Benga. Yes, it is my first time in Katsina State. Well, first of all, the stakeholders we're expecting to see persons who have been impacted by banditry, terrorism, kidnapping, and the state of insecurity that has bedeviled this particular part of the country. Just like yesterday on the program, we spoke to certain persons who are still in temporary IDP camps. We're hoping to have those kinds of people join us to talk about their own reality since the government IDPs have been shut down. We're hoping to have people who have survived some of the incidences of insecurity. We're hoping to actually, and one part I'm interested in, hoping to have repentant bandits if they will be joining us. And you know that our town hall largely is about the people. So these are the people that we're expecting to have with us. And then in terms of policymakers, we have reached out to the executive governor himself, hoping that he could be here with us. Remember that in Borno State, the governor did join us. So it wouldn't be a surprise if we have the governor here join us. We actually are hoping. We hope security operatives like the Commissioner of Police, the Army, NSCDC, FRSC, and those who man the security architecture in the state will be there. We also are hoping to have civil society organizations, legal practitioners, and particularly religious and traditional leaders. They play a key role in, I would like to use the word state policing, not like we are looking at it by the police and in the constitution, but when I say state policing now, I mean, policing of the immediate environment. It largely has to do with traditional leaders and religious leaders who govern the people here. So these and many more are who we are expecting to have at this town hall, and we do hope that the conversations we'll be having definitely will be of help, to the security architecture and to the government of the state at large.
All right, thank you very much, Bernard, for joining us and bringing this update. We'll connect with you again. Definitely we'll connect with you before, during, and even after the town hall to see how it progresses, and we hope everything goes on smoothly. Thank you for your time. Right, let's now come back into the studio, continue the conversation of PFIPC, the presidency's directive that the ICPC investigates and bring reports in 30 days, where we are as a nation and what the expectations are. We still have in the studio the Director General of SERAP, Kolawole Oluwadari, and we're still joined by Leadership and Accountability Initiative Head, Henry Nwazura, who is joining us virtually. Thank you once again, gentlemen, for being here. Before we connected with our correspondent in Katsina, I said I was going to bring you back into the studio. And I want you to speak to us, about the Senate's role in this. We had Honorable Senator Nweboy join us on the show and tell us that, it's unverified, that it's a line item. Meanwhile, Senator Yemi Adaramodu had clearly spoken to journalists yesterday, said, yes, it's on the budget, but they're not going to step in because, one, the matter is sub judice. Two, no one has brought it before the House. It kind of reminds me when they say, the court is not a Father Christmas, it is the prayer you bring before the court. So I think they're liking the red chamber to the court.
I don't think it's sub judice, as it were, because these are facts in the public domain, not the present criminal case before the police against Prince Matthew Adeyemi. And apart from the presidential directive to the ICPC, there is no formal case in court, as it were, on this matter. And I do not think the National Assembly has done well. And it's clear that budget, the Appropriation Act, is a public document. Everyone has access to it. And it shows clearly that this disavowed institution is a budget line in the Appropriation Act. Passed by the National Assembly, it went to the committee stage, and the president issued a signature on it before it became an act. The National Assembly cannot divorce himself from the process of appropriating 1.3 billion naira.
Their explanation is that it's not their responsibility to investigate the heads of the MDAs. That if it was somebody who was a member of the cabinet that came to the National Assembly for screening, then it will be directly linked to them. But since that is not the case, it doesn't
that's not
connect
true.
them.
And the budget-making process is clear. The president presents the appropriation bill to the National Assembly that devolves into committees, the appropriation committees. And the committees, among the many duties they do, is to invite the heads, the accounting officers of these MDAs, to do budget defense. And that means they have to verify every line, recurrent expenditure, capital expenditure, and justify it. So in this instance, which forms one of the questions we've asked in the National Assembly in the FOI we sent to them, who appeared for this institution before the National Assembly? What were the questions asked? And we've also asked for certificate copies of the proceedings of that committee, including minutes of the proceedings of the committee. Which questions were asked? What this simply means is that I can put my name on the budget, create an agency, call it Kolawole Presidential Agency, and I will go to the National Assembly, defend the budget, and have money sent to me. It doesn't look good. And that explanation doesn't fly. Not as a matter of fact, or as a matter of law.
And you also get an office in the Federal Secretariat and not Banex Plaza.
I get staff.
Get 300 staff as well. So Mr. Oluwadare, when we see how things are unfolding now as regards one senator saying something, another senator saying the other, how well do you trust to get a proper response from the National Assembly?
We're looking forward to getting the response to the FOI we sent, because the way we see it, I think it's an avenue for the National Assembly to state its side of the story, as it were, to explain what transpired between the presentation of appropriation bill by the president, what they did, and what came out ultimately as the Appropriation Act that had 1.3 billion naira allocated to this agency. I see no reason why they won't respond. And if they don't, unfortunately, we again have to go to court, another public interest litigation, wasting the resources of the Nigerian people. That is the National Assembly, who would hire lawyers to defend this kind of case in court.
Now, let's bring Henry back into the conversation. Henry in Abuja. I mean, you did speak to the fact that you weren't comfortable with Mr. President giving the marching order to ICPC to do their jobs. They have a constitutional role, and they shouldn't need the presidency to budge them. But beyond the ICPC's investigation, there are multiple layers of institutional failure. For example, the Central Bank of Nigeria has questions to answer. The Office of the
Accountant General of the Federation.
Accountant General of the Federation, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, also on how he got an office in the Federal Secretariat. So, ideally, who should be carrying out this investigation? There's multiple investigations.
Before we got the APC in power and everything, we used to have the Nigerian nation that defended itself, where you had the former IG of police, a serving IG of police, Tafa Balogun, who was arrested even as an IG of police, because there was a Nigerian nation disconnected from, not disconnected, but separate from the PDP that was ruling at that time. Now, every institution has fused into the APC. So you have a situation where you see ICPC, you see EFCC, you see every other institution of government trying to make the party in power look good, even if it hurts us as a country. When Bayo Onanuga issued his State House press statement a few days ago, I picked a lot of holes in this. Bayo Onanuga said this so-called fictitious agency was able to fraudulently open an account with the CBN. And I can tell you, I don't want to say how I got to know, but I can tell you completely and fully with total confidence that no individual, no organization, no group can go to the Central Bank of Nigeria and open an account. It is not possible. It is impossible. So what you have is, we should be looking at an independent investigation that does not involve all these organizations that are already captured by the APC. We should have an independent investigation into how was the CBN able to open an account for this organization. How was the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, able to communicate with the SGF without taking proper actions? Why was this individual arrested and paraded to be taken to court without the Chief of Staff being brought in for questioning? Listen, ICPC, EFCC, DSS, everybody is under the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila. okay? Because before they can gain access to the president, they need to go through him. My question is, what does it take for President Tinubu and the APC to ask Gbajabiamila, is Gbajabiamila bigger than the Nigerian nation? Is Gbajabiamila bigger than our constitution? Is Gbajabiamila bigger than us finding the truth about missing money, about so-called phony agency or fictitious agency? Is Gbajabiamila bigger than Nigeria as a country? If the president is, because I've seen this morning, I've seen some clips online where the president was praising Gbajabiamila. In me, I don't think that is a new video. I think that's an old video where the chief of staff did something and the president needed to come and show faith or trust in him. But if that is a recent video, if the president, Bola Tinubu, is today telling us that he trusts Gbajabiamila, then there is absolutely no reason for anybody. If I were that young guy, I will not submit myself for any prosecution. I will not submit myself for any investigation. Gbajabiamila is a Nigerian citizen. He also is a Nigerian citizen. Now there have been issues that have been raised. The guy is accusing Gbajabiamila of collecting 400 million naira from him. You cannot use Aso Rock to cover such an alleged crime. You cannot use the cover of government or political party to cover such thing. It is Nigeria's money. We need to get to the root of it. So let me just make myself very, very clear. As long as Gbajabiamila has not been sacked or suspended, and as long as he has not resigned of his own volition to go and face the law, to clear his name, whatever Aso Rock is saying, the ICPC, EFCC, whatever they are saying is total bullocks, is total nonsense, is an insult to the Nigerian people. Whatever that Tinubu comes out to say, the only way we were going to trust whatever investigation they want to do is for Gbajabiamila to first of all resign from that office, so that it does not bring influence to bear on the investigative agencies, the IG of police, the DG, DSS, the chairman EFCC, the chairman ICPC. All these people come to Gbajabiamila as their boss to take them to the president. So if Gbajabiamila remains their boss, albeit unconstitutionally, they can never, ever be objective, be fair, they can never carry out an unbiased investigation.
Okay, let us bring the conversation back into the studio.
On this matter.
Thank you so much for pointing that out. I'd like Mr. Oluwadare to respond to that. Do you agree with that? And do you see the possibility of Gbajabiamila being asked to step aside?
I agree to the extent that the president giving directive to the ICPC, of course, it creates an image of bias already. It doesn't need to give that directive. The law setting up the ICPC is clear as to their mandate. If someone does something wrong, they do not need to be instructed. That is one. Two, and that leads to the question, so who is going to do this investigation? There are two arms of government embroiled, as it were, the executive and the legislature, leaving only judiciary out in the clear. But don't forget, it is the same judiciary that will determine the culpability of whoever the investigation points to. So the ICPC can do this, but the chief of staff, who has been mentioned, it is just honorable commonsensical and to preserve objectivity, either in the investigation or the trial, to step aside. I am not a lawyer to Prince Adeyemi, but I would think in the course of his trial, he has made allegations already against Mr. Gbajabiamila. And his lawyer may have a strategy to subpoena Mr. Gbajabiamila to give evidence in court. Now, is he going to do that as chief of staff, sitting with this hanging on his neck, or is he going to do that as a Nigerian? So it is just honorable, commonsensical, and to preserve objectivity that he either steps aside or suspended, pending two things: the investigation by the ICPC and the prosecution of Prince Adeyemi before the court.
And finally, just before we wrap, I want to throw this in quickly. The conduct of the Nigerian police in arresting the father of Prince Adeyemi in lieu of his son and the gentleman of particular concern that was also arrested in his house.
That's wrong. And the law is clear on this. The Police Act is clear. The Constitution is clear. There are several judicial judgments from the Supreme Court. It's totally wrong. And the police is here to tell us why.
And why is there
He's supposed to be on bail. He's supposed to be on bail. He's supposed to be in court on the 27th. So why are they looking for him? For what? The case has been filed. There's no basis. Not at all.
So should there be like people who should take responsibility for that action?
He has lawyers. I would expect his lawyers to file fundamental rights enforcement action, asking for punitive damages against the police.
And what do you make of Bayo Onanuga, who, when this first broke out, his first reaction was to hold, quote unquote, unofficially hold brief for Femi Gbajabiamila?
This is why presidential spokespersons should be circumspect about what they say without knowing the facts. The presidential spokesperson is not speaking for APC. He's speaking for the office of the president. So the facts need to align to make any statement. And the things he had said makes this case, makes the issue of bias against the president much more obvious. It does more damage, actually.
All right. We'll continue to wait it out. PFIPC does not seem like it's an issue that will be going away anytime soon. It's 30 days. The presidency has given ICPC. We'll see how that will play out. ICPC has its own matter to answer in the case of El-Rufai. they have a lot of issues to deal with there. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Henry Nwazurahu, for joining us virtually. And thank you very much, Kolawole Oluwadari, for joining us in the studio.
Thank you very much.
All right. Keep your comments coming on YouTube. News Central TV Live is where we're streaming. We'll go on a very quick break. When we come back, we still have more conversations with you this morning, so please stay with us.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. It's now time for us to look at the newspaper front pages, and join us for analysis today is political affairs analyst, Mr. Sheson Kwade, a chartered accountant.
Yeah, good morning, Benga, Olive, and brother.
Morning.
It's a pleasure to be
Good
with you
morning,
this Wednesday
and
morning.
it's great to have you join us. Let's get straight into the action. We'll start off with, let's see what newspaper to start with. Let's start with the Nigerian Tribune. Yes, this story doesn't seem, it's not going to go away anytime soon. And I'm talking about the PFIPC scandal. Tinubu orders ICPC to probe fake, in inverted commas, PFIPC, because the fake, depending on who you ask, will tell you if it's fake or not. So that's why they put that the parenthesis there. The writer says, gives Commission 30 days deadline, report to be submitted to the President. Agency to probe the use of false government documents, opening of any bank account, source movement of funds. Gbajabiamila threatens Adeyemi with 10 billion naira defamation suit. And the Senate says why we won't be able to dabble into controversy. They said it's prejudice, and that nobody has brought a public petition before it. Also, on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, Tinubu inaugurates presidential working group on national policing bill. Same Gbajabiamila, indicted Gbajabiamila. That word indicted did cause some controversy this morning. And
they say
indicted in this case means fingered Gbajabiamila. That has been the
I had his fingers pointed at him. In fact, I had to Google
this committee.
I had to Google the meaning of indictment.
Okay.
Because just so that they can answer my question, Honorable Webber said, take back indictment. Now, there's a legal explanation of indicted. But there's also a common use of the word indicted. And the general use for the word, the non-legal use, it is frequently used to describe a strong expression of criticism or a situation that exposes a systemic failure. For example, the high rate of illiteracy is seen as an indictment of the country's education system. In the same way we can say that Gate is seen as an indictment of the ruling or Progressives Council.
Absolutely, and it's valid. Now, pressures mount on abductors of Orire school children. I don't know if this is comforting information or what this information is meant to do. The parents and the loved ones just want their kids out, and the teachers. So whether you're mounting pressure or not, it's 54 days too late. We want the kids out as soon as possible. 11 trillion naira revenue target may scare cargoes from Nigerian ports. Stakeholders want National Assembly. Don't set too many targets for Nigerian customs, because it looks like, oh, we're all about this money, and they're not even thinking about the impact on the economy. NBA rejects alleged AGF directives, insists elections will hold as scheduled. So even a professional body like the Nigerian Bar Association is having internal crisis and wranglings and leadership tussle that the AGF seems to be interfering. But that's for the lawyers to determine. I hope there's no problem in the ICANN. I hope the accountants are not having it.
It has nothing to do
because accountants, they are the ones looking after my money in bank.
It has
they should
nothing
not
to
have
do with
problem
money.
on my
No,
small 2K that is in my account.
We are there for
Please
you
don't
to make
have
sure
any
that
problem.
your money is well protected.
Good. And Tinubu reforms working, support re-election. Ekpemokpolo tells Nigerians. Health. Recreational drugs, including cannabis, can cause strokes, says study. El-Rufai's wife,
I hope you are taking note of that.
My husband doesn't deserve this persecution. Nigerian youths, I hope you're taking note of that item. Recreational drugs, including cannabis, can cause stroke. Very important. El-Rufai's wife to Tinubu. My husband doesn't deserve this persecution. ICPC says his doctor. ICPC, I beg your pardon, arrests his doctor over alleged abuse of privilege, a breach of medical visit. ICPC is really working these days. Maybe that's why the president said, you know, ICPC, I need you to investigate this Gbajabiamila issue. Senate wants to stop rehabilitation of terrorists, directs conclusion of xenophobia probe within 2 weeks. I think that's a fair place to start because we've been talking, we'll soon get to the ICPC story. But what do you make of this rehabilitation of terrorists? Do you think people that have taken arms against the state and that have killed and tasted blood can genuinely be rehabilitated?
Yeah, thank you very much, Benga. Starting from that area, I'm sure you know we are addressing the monster in the room, which is insecurity, that a lot of us have actually been saying is the major problem why to talk about some of the reforms the president and the team are claiming may not allow it to work. And people like us have actually said those days when amnesty were granted and rehabilitation are actually done. I think during the last, was it the last administration or even Jonathan, the administration, we had instances where the taxpayers' money were actually used to buy vehicles, generators, set them up to get some of those things. And I asked myself the question, I'm not a pastor, but I know I read in the scripture that he who killed by the sword should definitely go by the sword. So why are we actually, using taxpayers' money, the money that we're actually struggling to even mobilize are used to now rehabilitate? And one thing we always tell you is that people can step down to actually be seen as being good because of the few benefit they will derive from something, but they will definitely go back to status quo once you're unable to do that. And a lot of us have said, if you are able to ascertain, confirm that these people, either informants or partook in killing these people, let them just face the firing squad. Part of the things
I think the Nigerian Constitution has made the penalty for kidnapping and violent terrorism the death penalty.
A death penalty, but up till now, are we seeing the practicality of that particular law? People will tell
some
you that
governors are afraid to sign the warrants.
Why
the death warrant, because they feel the ghost of some of these terrorists will be disturbing them.
But the ghost of the innocent people will not be disturbing them. But the ghost of terrorists, it's really, see, the people concerned. You read in the prologue the other time, talking about the children, innocent children. You're talking about 2, 3, 4 years, 54 days down the line, they are out there with the level of rain that we're actually seeing. And you think that the blood of those innocent ones, even while they are alive, will not be hunting on some of our leaders that refuse to do that. And we are talking about rehabilitating some of these terrorists. As a matter of fact,
Senator Umahi, sorry to butt in, this morning did say that by 2031,
insecurity will be a thing of the past.
Will be a thing.
That was what we heard, that they are going to cop and nip this at the bud. But here we are, every day by day. There is no day we don't discuss level of insecurity at which it is. So for me, rehabilitating these terrorists is you are actually sending to us, because it's taxpayers' money. They are actually going to be used to actually rehabilitate some of those people. And you cannot guarantee, if as a matter of fact, they will go back to their vomit when they don't get the largesse that they are getting from the government any longer. So for me, if you are caught in the web, either as informant, either as one of the people that has perpetrated in killing people, let them do that so that it will even serve as deterrent. So anybody that wants to go into that business already knows that I have a death warrant,
death wish,
you know, that I'm going to face if I'm being caught in the web. Rather than saying that, okay, when I do this and I make some money, I come back, I get rehabilitated, and I go on with my business. The most critical thing that is of concern to me is that some of those people, when you rehabilitate them, they may not carry arms, but they might become informant to those that are still willing. And information is power. When, in fact, if you carry most sophisticated weapon and you don't have information, your enemies are behind you and you are facing this place. I'm sure you know you go. But if you have information that this is the direction at which you have to face, or this is the plan that is actually going up, you'll be able to nab some of those people. So when you rehabilitate them, I feel that we are at risk of them providing information to some of those that will not, that have hardened their heart, that they are not ready to go back. And they should just make use of the taxpayers' money judiciously and possibly use that as deterrent to those that might actually be considered, because some have seen it as a lucrative business of making sure that they just go around, kidnap, and take people, kill them on daily basis, which does not really go well for us, even on the international scale.
So, all right, we have a call coming in. Let's quickly take the call, and then we'll come back to continue the conversation. Good morning, Mohammed. Thank you for calling from Port Harcourt.
Good morning, ma. My name is Alhaji Hassan Mohammed Dabaji. I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
All right, sir. Please go ahead with your comment.
I think it is one incident too many. We rehabilitate several Boko Haram criminal element blood-sucking demons, and we integrate them into our society, and they turn out to be another monsters in our society. It's a case of where Sokoto community brought in non-state actors to come and chase criminal elements in their community, and they turn against them to become another new version of criminal elements. So I think if the government are serious in ending this insecurity, it's just a simple case of political will. In less than 90 days, you can reduce this criminal activity to the barest minimum. What are the modus operandi of all those bandits and what have you? It's motorcycles. If it is within the areas of 43 local governments, ban the use of motorcycles, off the network within those areas, ask people living in thick forest, if you know you're a criminal, you're not a criminal, leave those forests within a particular period of time, block their food supply and gas supply. He will have to come out either to surrender willingly or the government will smoke them there, because the security contractors are benefiting and nobody wants this thing to end. How can you integrate a criminal element after profiling him? You don't put on go into the street. How can you monitor it? In the same time, when they integrate such threats back into the society, they put chips in them to monitor them. So I think that all the government should do the needful so that we end on this unnecessary killing of human lives in our country. Thank you, and God bless.
For that, I mean, we had a majority of it. At some point, it became fragmented.
But great points by Mohammed.
Very great points he made. Thank you very much, Alhaji. Okay, let's move to another paper and see how many stories we can take as quickly as possible. If Chiweta can take us through The Guardian.
Let's go to the Guardian. The major headline here says, anxiety, Lagos-Calabar Highway. Anxiety as planned expansion may affect 2,700 buildings, 10,800 homes. On the left corner of The Guardian, you can see 2027 APC pleads with substituted aspirants to shelve litigation. Oh, really?
They're pleading with them that just
begging.
accept it.
Accept it and let's keep it going. The big battle is in front.
2031, exactly.
Oya abductions.
Lost time is the best.
I'm telling you. Oya abductions, pressure mounts as operatives close in on abductors. Similar story we had in the Tribune, but like Benga said, this no one wants to hear. Want to hear that the children have actually been rescued.
Hope rising.
Yeah, xenophobia, despite outrage, Senate rejects reciprocal action against South Africa. Nigeria's population growth may worsen sanitation crisis, says AFDB. Senate rejects Boko Haram rehabilitation, says justice must prevail. NBA cites autonomy, rejects AGF's intervention in officers' election, and police confirm probing 30 political killings ahead of Osun Guba polls.
Wow.
PFIPC, Tinubu orders ICPC probe as Senate distances itself from controversy.
The Senate is saying we are not a Mungo. But let's take this call from Frank. Good morning.
Yes. Because of National Assembly, we are seeing other federal government to stop rehabilitating repentant Boko Haram. Yes, it's a welcome development. These people have sent innocent Nigeria to early grade. And some people are in an IDP camp today, and they are rehabilitated them. It's not good. Please, they should do the needful to make sure that they wipe away those people that are terrorizing Nigeria. You can't rehabilitate them when they have killed some innocent Nigeria, and some are living in the IDP camp. And at the end of the day, they will come out and rehabilitate them. They will move it around. It's not good. They should do the right thing at the right time. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Frank. Okay.
So I was going to look at this particular headline, the xenophobia issue, of course, happening in South Africa. Sadly, you know, it first moved from or illegal migrants to actually saying, you know what, foreigners out of South Africa. And unfortunately, we've had like 2 Nigerians who were actually killed. He also talks about, you know, bringing the next batch of Nigerians from South Africa. But my question is, do you think the Nigerian government has acted appropriately? Because
the Senate is...
Exactly, the Senate is saying that...
they are turning the other cheek.
Exactly.
They say, let's not meet fire with
Let's not cause problem.
Yeah, well, on their part, they are doing what they feel they need. But, you know, on the part of we, the citizen, we most of the time want the reaction that will give fire for fire. I think part of the things I've seen them suggested is possibly maybe deny the repatriation of some of the profits of some of the organization from South Africa. Let's just put
as an accountant, you have to look for.
You know. Initially, I was saying that don't go and destroy their property, because it will impact on the workers, you know, that are here, because majority of our people are their citizens. But what we can do is that at the end of every financial year, they build up their accounts, work on some of those things, and some of these funds are repatriated, certain percentage are shared back to the organization. We can just hold on to that and say, okay, our people that are actually being dealt with there, this is our own way of actually giving our own fair share. Because if you attack their structure, infrastructures, and some of the things they have, it will impact on us negatively, and that will be massive. But when you hold back, and you are not holding back the money to say, we are not giving it to you, but you can't repatriate those funds to South Africa, use it to develop our country. Otherwise, you just allow it to be. So we allow that to actually grow. We can't go the interesting way of attacking some of the South African citizens in the country.
It's barbaric, and we're not.
No, so for me, we can go that route to say, okay, go ahead and be doing your business, but we wait for you. Certain percentage that is expected to be shared with your parent body or your parent company will actually be withheld back in our country, and let everything that actually, if they are going to discontinue sending you to funds, make use of what you have locally and use it to develop the organization that we are. And I think that will send a signal to them, because we can't go the route of killing. The killing in the country on its own, it's on the, that's what we first discussed. Now adding the attack on the, foreigners. Some of them have worked to even contribute to the bottom line of where we are. We've seen instances where a lot of these foreigners have stayed here 20, 30 years, and all they know is this country. But they still, people still know them that, no, you are not a Nigerian, but you are of this particular nationality. And we can't go the route of attacking. We might go ahead and just attack innocent people.
I mean, Uganda has one of the highest refugee populations and outsiders, but they don't.
I want us to talk more about this. Of course, Ghana has taken a stance. Cyril Ramaphosa was meant to visit Ghana.
They say
no, he shouldn't.
Please don't come.
No, because in fact, asking me not to go is for his own safety.
They can't guarantee.
They can't guarantee the safety.
Ostracizing and.
It's not a. Okay, you know what? Let's take a call. We have a caller. Please, good morning, Aso. Thank you very much for calling from Benue State.
Good morning, New Central.
Good morning.
I would like you people to understand that the National Assembly has a duty of oversight over agencies to investigate how budgetary allocation to such agencies is being spent. So this means that the allocation of budget to such agencies is being done by the National Assembly, meaning that the National Assembly knows the duties and responsibilities and leaders of such agencies. So what I'm trying to say that the Senate or the National Assembly has full knowledge or is fully aware of the existence of the PFIPC something that we are talking about. So they have to step in without waiting for a written petition. I want Senator Umahi to take note of this. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your time.
You're going to say something.
You're going to say something.
I would say that Ghana has refused. Ghana has taken a stand. Ghanaians, I mean, they had their citizen killed in the xenophobic attacks in South Africa. And there are people who are pushing that, certain strong actions and statements need to be taken to protect Nigerian citizens. And that's not to say, like I always say here, that South Africans are well within their right to demand that undocumented migrants go back to their country. But again, it's a failure of their government, a failure of them to, first of all, ensure that they provide opportunities for their citizens. These migrants constitute only 5%.
Economic migrant. Okay, the failure of this South African government here,
yes,
not the migrants.
No.
Not the migrants countries.
I mean, the migrant countries also have a failure because a lot of these people are running to these countries looking for greener pastures because their home country is not suitable.
But Oliver, aside even talking about how Nigerian government should even react to the South African government, how is the Nigerian government even treating its citizens? We are still going back and forth as to how to even bring the next batch home.
Those are areas that I always address people to say, even the people that have been repatriated, I have asked the question, what is the plan of the government for that? So imagine someone who has 3-4 shops in South Africa and now he's coming back home with nothing. And last week we were like people saying they will give them 100,000
empty and those 100,000.
It's fine, but you ask yourself, somebody who has been living a particular standard and you are coming back, in some country there will be provisions for them to actually absorb them, but even if they can't take you back to your original state. But here we are, even those of us that have not traveled, that have businesses, I'm sure you know what the cost of power looks like. The cost of rent for those that owns offices. People prefer to work from home. The cost of even the data that you're actually using to work from home and all those things. And you are coming back into the country. So both our own government, their own government, they have those particular issues to actually bring.
Yes,
but
and
I don't feel
about it. According to a statement I read from the foreign ministry, is that high-level talks are happening with the Nigerian Foreign Ministry and the Department of International Relations and Cooperation in South Africa to work out a compensation package. They're documenting the losses of this repatriated Nigerians and to work out a compensation package for them. Let's hope they see it through and they actually get this compensation for their businesses.
Sound pessimistic. Even for those people that have losses in our own country, how much of compensation have we given to them? Not to talk of people coming from outside there.
They're having that conversation.
So does it mean that
it's a right step, but it's to follow up and ensure that
there are always nice steps when it comes to some of our things. Is the finishing? Don't let me go to sport. Yesterday we have good starting. For one of our African wherever, but the finishing, you can see the technicality the other people brought it. So Nigeria, we have good startup. You can score like 10 goals when it comes to some of our policies and ideas. When it is the follow-through, walk-through, the implementation of some of those things, it becomes a problem. You might even see the government themselves approving, some of these things to the repatriated personnel. But some set of people will stand between and start dishing out. We've seen instances where government will say, okay, give these people 500,000. And at the end of the day, it's only 100,000 that will get to these concerned people, and the rest will just fizzle into the air.
Let's not talk too far. New Central is doing town hall. We are currently in Katsina. There are people that have been living in quote-unquote IDP camps that haven't yet been integrated back into society.
So
we'll bring that up.
Those ones are there. We are not talking of people you are repatriated. Even those that are within the system, that you have 100% responsibility. How much have you actually cut out to it?
Okay, let's move to the Observer Times paper. The headline there.
Are we done with The Guardian? Okay.
Yes,
all right,
we're done.
We can come back to that.
We're done.
Move to the Observer Times then.
It says West African giants, that is, you can't mention giants in West Africa without mentioning Nigeria, uniting anger over South Africa's xenophobia crisis. Ghana rejects Ramaphosa's visit. Nigeria's Senate weighs cotton ties as season essay profits for victim compensation. Yes, and also El-Rufai's doctor arrested as ICPC alleges plot to mislead investigators over court-approved hospital visit. Governor Bago imposes curfew after 80 people killed in Kumuku Fulani violent clashes. I mean, 80 lives, just casually like that. Imagine the loss of 80 lives in any other country in this world. They will call, I mean, in the UK, they will call a Cobra meeting. They will call, I mean, a state of emergency. And
you're talking the flag.
Hoisting the flag at half-mast. Argentina, well, this made front page of the Observer Times. Staged stunning comeback to sink Egypt in 5-goal World Cup thriller. Very controversial. I mean, many people are questioning the calls of the referee. The Egyptians' coach, Osam Hassan, said they were rigged, that they rigged them out, and that FIFA has a favorite team they want to win the World Cup, that they shouldn't have even bothered calling other countries to compete. They should have just handed over the World Cup trophy to Lionel Messi and Argentina. But you get more details of that in our sports programming coming up later today. Court reserves judgments in PDP leadership dispute suits. Gbajabiamila gives 72-hour ultimatum for public apology. Do you think Mr. Adeyemi is going to retract the statement to apologize?
Well, I'm not his lawyer. Neither I'm not his family member. He will count his
advice to him?
To him?
Yes.
He started the game without consulting me.
Interesting.
Because if I've been consulted, possibly if you have chopped part of, let me use that street language, when you chop part of the thing and your mouth is already stained, you know the kind of advice and consultancy I will give to him. So he started the game with them, so we'll understand whether apology will give him a safe landing. Because this is something that Nigerians are interested in. I listen to Luada Radio all the time, and that's actually my position. Even the National Assembly distancing themselves from this to say they don't have written petition or whatever out there. The question is the budget in question. If other things I can overlook, this budget was submitted from Mr. President to the National Assembly. We have different chairmen of different houses, inviting the concerned people to come and actually explain. That's what is obtainable, even in organization. When you're having budget session, come and defend this. Why are we having this? Okay, the target we are giving to you is this. You are giving us 1 billion. We are raising it to 3 billion because we can say that that's what the expense is. So who actually represented this? Or are we at this point saying that this did not form part of the budget that was actually approved by Mr. President? So they cannot claim. In fact, as a matter, they are indicted the more. Because if they have spotted that out earlier, it would have raised concern that they did a very thorough job. Yeah. But as it is now, we can even ask them that they are part of the people that gave backing for this to have actually, because what oversight function are your executive can include anything they like in the national budget. It is your role when actually asking questions to screen out what should not be. So definitely there's someone that made explanation on this particular line item in the budget. So they themselves are complete. The chairman of the Senate committee that on appropriation should explain much more better what transpired at this particular time, aside even the executive, because we can ask that executive have done their part. Anybody can, if you go to top management staff, you can take anything to your organ to sign. He has that power to look at it line and say, this line 4, I need you to explain to it, either to expunge it or after providing explanation, it allows it to fly. So when the board are asking questions, you should be able to stand up and say, yeah, I allow this to fly, even though you are raising concern, and give your reason to it. And that's why we feel that National Assembly cannot distance themselves, waiting for petition from anybody. They are part of the people that actually allow this to walk away with it.
National Assembly, this indictment word.
You know, when you use Greek grammar, they start looking for it. But they are part, that one is simple. They are part of the people that actually made the budget to fly without doing the proper scrutiny.
Oliver and Senator Umahi belong to the same constituency. They are both legal luminaries.
Please.
Should take it.
So actually, I do the matter. It has nothing to do with
Family business.
Okay, let me take comments on YouTube. Someone says there's nothing fake about the agency, and this is because it is a special purpose vehicle through which they siphon money for personal enrichment. We don't know. And then another one says the ICPC controlled by presidency or another one, question mark. What happened to Nigeria with this scandal is a national embarrassment. It's unfortunate that every Dick and Harry is now an expert analyst. The shallowness and partisanship contribution of Henry Spetty. He has the right to air his opinion, you know, and stand on, you know, whatever side of the divide. Still on YouTube, the roundup, sorry, I can't read this name. Even justice is confused how justice is served in Nigeria. People who kidnap, kill, rape, burn, and all unspeakable evils, and you think they deserve mercy. How about the sad victims? Nigeria has something. This is regarding rehabilitation of terrorists. And honestly, the argument about that is unending. Many people would argue that, beg, let them, if they do the crime, they should face the time. Which one is?
Is this situation of you know, trying to rehabilitate terrorists back into the
approach?
Is this, can we connect it? Is this similar to the amnesty that was given to militants back in the day?
Well,
can it be connected to it? Because some people might say that it was effective. They might say amnesty was effective.
They were not targeting life. They were targeting infrastructure.
People were kidnapped. No, expatriates were kidnapped back then.
But the killing was not as much as what we're experiencing now. You can't compare the
oranges. You can't just you can't compare. These guys are
you need to see the brutality.
About our YouTube comments, there's a gentleman or gentle lady there. As always, inviting us for church program. Okay, we attend that church program so that this thing.
How many times? How many times?
We have seen it. I will personally attend it. Please,
please represent us.
The church has fire in his name. So represent him so she can let our YouTube comment go.
Okay. and Benga, maybe I will just say this. Why we feel the National Assembly needs to come in and explain, most especially the chairman appropriation. Remember when the IMF just last week said there is 8.8 trillion.
Yes.
The Minister of Finance came out and explained the rationale behind it. Now, the budget that was actually given back to Mr. President to assent to add one or two things that is now asking for questioning. On that premise, we want the National Assembly, the chairman appropriation, to give explanation. Was this included? Because remember when we have this fiscal policy, we had that the version that was submitted to Mr. President, there were insertions that the committee were trying to explain that they did not know how those things. Possibly that was not included while the committee shared that with Mr. President. Possibly it was added on presenting to Mr. President, and that's why they need to come up and put up a defense to this.
Closing time. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Mr. Okwande.
That was nostalgic.
All our guests, physical, virtual, who joined us in the studio here, as well as those who joined us in Abuja or from their various points of joining. Thank you for being with us. We'll be back again. And a special thank you to our YouTube commenters, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's always a pleasure to have you here with us, and you're very welcome. We'll continue the conversation tomorrow on Breakfast Central. My name is Olive Emodi.
And I'm Benga Borowa, who will be attending that church program.
My name is Chiwata Onyema.
And we will see you tomorrow. Jasiri comes up next. Bye-bye.